Sup, dickhead, what you want to know?
Oh, wise new gods, I come before you to ask some questions.
No, you showed up here to ask questions? That's what you're doing. I thought you'd be doing something fancy and innovative.
Isn't that what people come here for?
Yeah, no shit.
Well, I suppose we'll get right into it then. So,
Ask away.
god of what are you the god of?
Don't worry about it.
So, what's the deal with the dungeons? Why is there so much freaky stuff going on to even get to Mahav?
Well, that's actually kind of an interesting multi-layered thing. But the short version is that it's because of the Chikanma.
The Chikanma?
Yeah.
What's the Chikanma?
Chikanma nuts! Get him!
God damn. Thank you, wise new gods. Thank you very much.
No, but seriously, that is actually kind of a long one.
Okay.
The gist of it is because of the black.
The black.
Which is kind of ambiguously implied to be source of all of the darkness down there, and also that weird black shit that oozes from the walls.
Oh, that you can scoop up.
Yeah. And it mutates people for inadequately explained reasons.
So the black ooze is that the actual thing that like mutates people into guards and other things?
I mean, that's the implication. It's also implied that the darkness itself has a physicality because of that black ooze that, I don't know, maybe aerosolized in the atmosphere or whatever.
Oh, is that so? Torches themselves actually help keep you sane, like physically as well.
Yes.
Okay,
because it is driving back the black, which might also be the light condition, might just be the black goo, might be both.
Okay, so what's causing the black then? Is that explained?
Oh yeah. It is a secretion, possibly similar to sweat, possibly similar to blood, but it is some sort of bodily fluid of the god of the depths.
Oh, that's the one we see right down the bottom, isn't it?
Yeah.
The weird mouth.
Yeah, the weird mouth with an even weirder inside.
Okay. And so is it the black that turns us like that's the unnatural hunger too, right?
Yeah, probably. It might be the spores that are the source of the unnatural hunger.
Okay.
But the black is definitely the source of the mutations.
So all of this, so is the dungeon the body of the god of the depths, basically?
Not the dungeon itself. The dungeon itself was built on top of the body. But yes, that's also why it rearranges between attempts, because this is actually canonically explained as essentially a defense mechanism of the god of the depths. It rearranges the nearby landscape to confuse people who may do it harm.
Is it protecting itself, or is it protecting Mahav, or both?
Meh, who knows? It's protecting something, but it's not like we can interview the god of the depths and go, "Yo, bitch, what the fuck you doing?"
Yeah. It's still alive when we reach the dungeon, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we kill it on the way down.
Yeah, in one of the endings.
Okay. So, how old is the dungeon?
Oh god, I am so bad with exact dates. You can find, I think, in one of the captain's diaries, a description of specifically what year they started building it. I think it's less than a century old, but that's an estimate.
Okay. What was there beforehand?
Just spooky mountain place with fog.
Cool.
They specifically built the dungeon there because everyone around was like, yeah, that place is bad juju. People go crazy. They mutate. It's a horrible place. Avoid it. And Rondon, being, filled with that cursed race known as the British, thought it would be a fantastic idea to build a dungeon there specifically for the spooky factor, to try and scare would-be criminals to avoid doing their crimes, because they might be sent there.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if that really worked then.
Meh. Probably works to some people. I mean, there's lots of people that are like, oh, you're going there? Well, bye, idiot. You're not going back.
Yeah, so was it just kind of a coincidence then that they built their mind over Mahab? Built their dungeon over Mahab.
No, probably not. There's a reason that stuff is there, and they were like, oh, there's weird stuff going on here. Let's build stuff specifically here.
Okay.
They didn't have a proper understanding of what they were building on.
No.
But they did it deliberately because they knew there was something there that caused bad things.
Okay. Do you think there was any sort of like manipulation to do it, or it was just it's bad, that's cool, let's go?
Not really made clear. There's no reason to believe either way.
Okay. Interesting. So why did they capture Legard then? Why did the Rondon authorities decide to imprison him? Because he was quite the golden child beforehand, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Part of it being that it was actually his plan as part of a really stupid Xanatos gambit. Partially they did not like how popular he was getting because he could potentially dethrone some of the other power players in the kingdom.
Oh, okay. So he wanted to get captured?
Yes.
Why do they want to get captured? Why would you want to get sent to the worst, like what is actually canonically the worst place in the kingdom?
I mean, the short version is because he's a fucking idiot. The long version is that he wanted to experience expressions of each of the aspects of the four new gods to attempt to unify them and become something greater than the current batch of new gods.
Okay.
He wanted torment from the dungeons. He wanted domination from conquering stuff as a warlord. He wanted endless by wandering around all over the place with his knights. What the fuck was the fourth one? Enlightenments.
Yeah.
He had some plan for enlightenment. It might have been related to the dreams he had, but I can't remember the details of it.
Okay. And so he was trying to embody each of the four new gods and then become like a better god?
A better new god, yes.
Okay. Why was he trying to do that? Just for power, or?
I mean, the short version is because he's Griffith, but he wanted power. He wanted to be able to unify the continent. He wanted to reduce suffering on a global scale through that power.
Okay. So, and then he got himself captured, and then the reason he's captured is the reason all four of the playable characters go to the dungeon to go and get him, right?
Well, three of the four. Ragnvaldr's there to murder him. And he just happens to be captured at the time.
Why does Ragnvaldr want to kill him?
I mean, that's pretty clearly explained in the Tower of the Endless. The Knights of the Midnight Sun murdered like his entire village.
Yeah.
So, he wants revenge for his family, his friends, his wife, his kids, yada, yada, yada.
And Legard's knights, the Knights of the Midnight Sun, they went there to get the Cube of the Depths, right?
Yes.
What is the deal with the Cube of the Depths? Like, why is the key to Mahab all the way over in in America or Vinland in Fear and Hunger universe.
Let's
And
never
why won't Ragnvaldr give it to
expressly
them?
That's Ragnvaldr give it to them? Oh, you mean
Because he had the cube, or his
he did
people
not
had the
originally
cube.
have the cubes. His people originally had the cubes. The Knights of the Midnight Sun wiped out his village to get the cube. They got arrested. The cube passed into the hands of the Rondon military, and Captain Rudimer traded the cube to the cave dwellers in exchange for, was it food or supplies or safe passage? Something along those lines.
Huh. Okay.
How it wound up in Vinland is anyone's guess. I can speculate if you want, but there's nothing definite.
Feel free to speculate, yeah.
Well, there's two people that really don't want people getting into Mahavra, Rare and Francois.
Okay.
So either or both of them would have a reason to try to get it as far away as possible, and nobody's going to go to America because it sucks, so that's probably the best place to hide something.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Okay, that's interesting. Is there any reason why they couldn't just give the cube to Legard? Is it just because Ragnvaldr's people are just kind of jerks?
I mean, you have this fancy magic artifact that you and your people and your friends risked their lives for. Are you just going to give it to some random asshole for no reason? I mean, they probably could have bought it, but, like, in my experience, the most efficient sales method is just killing the guy and taking their stuff. Saves a lot of money on grocery shopping, let me tell you.
That's true. I imagine Legard was pretty happy just to fight for it too, considering his whole military campaign was part of his ploy as well to ascend himself.
Precisely.
Okay. So, well, going back to the dungeon, why was there a little girl in there? What was the deal with that?
Ooh, now that's a complicated one to properly answer. The gist of it, you know Nilvin, the new god of the Endless.
Is she the one that's not wearing a shirt?
Yeah, she's the one who lets her tits hang out.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
I wonder why. She got knocked up by Legard in his dreams.
In his dreams?
Yes.
Okay.
And 9 months later, I mean, maybe that was the Enlightenment thing, or maybe that was the Endless thing. One of those things, part of the Enlightenment route. But, yeah, little girl was born in the dungeons. She is a prison, maybe.
Oh. That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay. And so why was she still there? Like, why didn't they get her out of the dungeon? I can't imagine that's a good place to raise a child.
Well, Nilvin's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, you could say that again.
The whole reason she even birthed that child was part of a gambit to try to use her as a sacrificial pawn to ascend humanity.
Huh.
She did not actually give the vaguest iota of a damn about her well-being from the start.
Okay. Well, but actually, you know what? Before we talk about the little girl a bit more, how about we talk about the gods and what their deal is first, so we can understand.
I can answer some questions about that.
So, when you're running through the dungeon, you see a lot of stuff about how the old gods have left and the Fellowship became the new gods. So what were the old gods and why did they leave?
I mean, the old gods are essentially personifications of concepts. If you want a good real-life example of this, you could look at the Christian church and how the Greek philosophical concept of logos essentially merged over time with the idea of the Christian God. That is, truth personified as a righteous being.
Okay. So that's...
The old gods are similar, it's just that they are personifications, self-aware personifications, similar to Jungian archetypes, of various forces in the Fear and Hunger world, such as destruction and love and nature.
Okay. So you'd have a god like Gorgoroth is a god of destruction. He's a physical being, but he's also the concept at the same time.
Correct.
Okay. Do we know why they left?
I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe they all had their own individual reasons for it.
Okay.
Sylvian, for instance, left because she understood that humans could not provide her with as much love as she provides them. Grogoroth had his own reasons, but what they specifically were is slipping my mind at the moment. They're explained in Ending B, however.
Okay. So, that's going to be a pain to figure out what happened to the rest of them then, considering we don't talk to 90% of the old gods. Yeah, okay.
I mean, the God of the Depths is still hanging around. She hasn't abandoned no one.
Oh, I don't know if she's still there anymore.
By the time of Termina now.
Well, even in Termina, it's not even. They say that Rare is there, but then they say he's not there, but it's not clear whether he is or not, and he's not talking either way. So it's. Oh, what a mess.
I mean, that's kind of how you deal with conceptual beings.
Yeah. It's humans really aren't worth their time for the most part, are they?
Yeah. I mean, Rare has a personal investment in fucking over humans, but beyond that, no, they just don't care about humans for the most part.
Why does Rare want to fuck humans over?
Good question. It's explained in Termina, and I can't be bothered to finish that game.
Okay. I don't remember if it is, now you mention it. It's just a big silly Billy, I think. Well, he hates humans, we know that much. I guess he's just a jerk then.
Possibly.
Okay. So the old gods left, and then the Fellowship came in, and then they ascended to new gods somehow. So what happened there?
Oh, in Mahabharata, there's a throne. You sit on it and you become a new god.
Okay, so there's a lot there. There's a lot there. It sounds simple, but there's a lot going on there. Well, let's just start simple. What is a new god? What is it?
Basically a human that got jacked up on god steroids, technically mutated by the green in the void beyond the world, but it's basically just a guy with superpowers. Okay.
So they're not like universal concepts with a physical form. They're just like superhumans.
Yeah, they're closer to Greek deities.
Okay. So what's the throne?
Is shiny and hard to get to. A tool for getting into the void to get exposed to the radiation. It's just there.
So it's not explained where it comes from?
It's implied that the old gods left it to allow humans to govern for themselves, but it also might just be a Rare being a dick.
Huh, okay. So it's one of those things that it's a bit cagey about.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have this whole system of governments and we have no idea how it actually functions.
Yeah, just like in real life.
So when we're going through the dungeon, we're seeing all the stuff about the new gods, and it says that, the old gods are gone and the new gods came in and they created a new world order, but as we go through the dungeon, we find out that there's actually almost an endless series of new gods, right?
Yep.
Do we know how long this cycle's been going on for?
Nope. Longer than human memory.
Okay, weird. Did
my internet just die?
No, sorry, it's me. I had a total mind blank. Well, all right. So that's the old gods. That's the new gods. So what's the little girl? What are they trying to do with the little girl?
Well, she's a demigod similar to Almer, but also the child of a prophet-sized human, unlike Almer.
Wait, so what happened with Olmir then?
We don't know the full story, but he did some stuff and ascended to a being that could rival the old gods.
Okay, so he was something a little bit different from an old god, but still as strong as an old god.
Yes, I believe the term is an ascended one.
Okay,
But,
so
I believe he was also born as a demigod?
okay. So I suppose we can sort of assume that it's pretty similar to what happens to the little girl because she becomes an ascended
Yes.
one too, right?
Yes, it's essentially the same process with the same idea of a demigod, a half-god performing some sort of thing. But the specific details of what Almer did are not explained in one.
Okay. So we've got a couple of ascended gods who are as strong as an old god, but still.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Got someone pounding on my door. I'll be right back.
We might go to a BRB screen then, guys. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. Okay, we're back. So what were we
I
talking
really
about?
need to install an arm on one of these chairs. Like, it gets kind of a pain only having one supported by the back and the other just sort of dangling there. It wears on the shoulder.
Sit backwards in your chair for a bit then.
That would leave me with neither of them supported. What are you on about?
Okay, what were we talking about? Olmir. Yes.
Yes.
So Olmir and the girl are both ascended gods, and they're weird.
Facts.
Okay. So we see the little girl ascend. What else do we are sort of suspected to be like the canon endings of the first game?
Oh, that's an easy one. Trivial, even.
Oh.
So, right off the bat, we know that ending A must be canon because the little girl transformed into the god of fear and hunger.
Okay.
It's strongly implied that ending B is also canon, though not necessarily, because in that ending, if you bring Nasra to Grogoroth, or the traces of Grogoroth, he gets set on fire.
Wait, so
And
Nashra kills Grogoroth?
no, Nashra gets his ass kicked by Grogoroth, set on fire and knocked away, and you lose him as a party member.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. And then in the start of Osar's beginning in Termina, yeah, you find Nashra all
You
burnt
find him.
and shriveled.
That could be because of the Grogoroth event, although the Grogoroth event seemed to permanently destroy him, so it may be the source of something else, such as his attempted resurrection ritual going wrong.
Mm. And it has been, what, like, how many, like 800 years or something between the games? So he could just be old.
Yeah, around that.
Okay.
We also know that, much to the disappointment of that one guy who's really been pushing that August is a Ragnvalder theory, that Ragnvalder's ending S is not canon.
It's not canon.
Correct. Because
Okay.
we see Crowmauler at the start of Osa's story.
That's true, we do.
And Ragnvalder's ending S either requires an empty scroll or a dead Crowmauler.
Could... With Crowmauler, wasn't it somebody in the dungeon transformed into Crowmauler? So is there a chance the dungeon just sort of made another one?
Possibly. It's extremely unlikely, though.
Okay.
The original transformation was done by the god of the depths, who is no longer alive.
True. Okay. Okay, so what other endings do we know actually happened?
We do know that Enki's ending S is canon.
What's that one?
Rather than becoming a new god, he achieves immortality through enlightenment and begins writing books.
Okay. Right, yeah, because he writes all the skin Bibles that show up in 2, doesn't he?
Yes, it's strongly implied that he's probably still hanging out in the libraries in Mahabharata.
So he's still down there.
Yep.
We also see the Yellow King show up as well. What ending is that?
Ending C1 or C2.
Okay, so that's Legard turning into Yellow King. What's the difference between C1 and C2?
In C1 you opt to serve him, in C2 you fight against him and fail to kill him.
What happens if you kill a new god? Is that really clear?
It's implied they go to the Hall of the New Gods and just chill out.
Okay. So, but obviously that didn't happen to him because he's still running around in Termina. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a lot that happens in the dungeons that actually has a pretty big impact on the world, isn't there?
Yep. It's also potentially implied that Kahara's ending S is also canon.
How come?
The sword you see in his ending art for, what the hell is his ending called? Nah, whatever. The sword you see in his ending art that he's clutching in paranoia is Sabbath.
Oh, and Sabbath shows up in the church, doesn't it? In
Yes.
Termina. Okay, that's really
It is the
interesting.
exact same sword.
Hmm.
It could be that it was simply commissioned, or rather that it was one of a large set of swords, and Kahara simply purchased one. But it could also be Kahara's sword. Seeing as it's a short sword, essentially, that's what he starts with. I would feel that it's implied to be his, that later became adopted, become standard, but either way, it's ambiguous.
Yeah, okay. So Kahara probably survived and got his sword. Enki definitely survived and became immortal. Do we know? And Ragnvalder probably didn't become, what was his ending called? God of Death or something?
Oh, it was, what was it? No, it was not the true god of fear and hunger. That's Darcy's ending, which we know for a fact isn't canon.
So do we have any idea what happened to Ragnvalder?
Nah.
How about Das?
No, we don't know what happened to her either.
Okay.
But we do know that her ending S also could not have happened because she resurrects Legard after he dies as like a zombie. Yes, Monteculo has it. God of Ultraviolence. That's
That's
the ending for Dragon Balder.
that's a pretty sick name. Man, Dars has such severe one-itis for Legard, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if there's a way to figure out what happened to them. Because it's sort of implied with the transformation of the god of fear and hunger that whoever does it dies, isn't it?
Yep.
So it could have
In
been.
the ending A, where you create the god of fear and hunger, you die. The same is true for ending B, where Nasra got toasted.
Okay. So I suppose maybe one or both of them died fulfilling the god of fear and hunger ending, while somebody
Yeah.
else is helping out Legard and doing other stuff. I guess
That's possible. It would be difficult to do that though, because there are at least 5 canon endings, and there's only 4 playable characters. Or probably 5 canon endings. We don't know about Kahara.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kahara
Yeah.
may have been one of the ones that was killed, but then why would his sword be in the church?
Yeah.
Well, it could be a mass-produced sword. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why it's
Yeah.
ambiguous.
Okay. Interesting. I think this might be one of those things where everything that happens in the dungeon is a bit of a grey blur, and we just know what comes out the other side.
Yep. I mean, that's the easiest way to handle a game with multiple endings and trying to make a sequel to it. You make a bunch of them canon.
Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. So when I was on my way down here to Mahav through the dungeon, I had a few party members with me, and unfortunately, they all died before we got here. And I won't go into the specifics and if I sacrificed them or not, but
Understandable.
they had some questions that they would like me to ask you. So I wrote them all down.
Alrighty.
Okay. So how many twisting points are there in the world like the dungeons? Like how the dungeon seems to be like a nexus between worlds. Do you know, is there any indication of how many places like that are in the world?
There is no evidence of that aside from Mahabra.
Okay. So it's Mahav that causes the sort of weird reality bending stuff.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. So what is Mahav then?
Well, it's the city of the gods. It sits at the place thinnest it sits at the place thinnest of the barrier between worlds.
Okay, so it's sort of like a
Has
way
the
to travel between
strongest-
worlds?
It has the strongest connection to where the old gods came from.
Oh, okay. So the old gods are sort of implied to be like from another reality.
Another reality, maybe another plane of existence. They're from the void. What is in the void? Don't worry about it. It's there.
Okay. So it's okay. Well then, what's the go with the cube of the depths then? How can that get us into Mahab, and how does that like travel time in Mahab? What's going on there?
Oh. It's some kind of magic MacGuffin thingy. It does that. That's all you need to know.
Okay. This is a cool cube. All right. So what is the backstory for Moonless? What's Moonless's deal?
You mean specifically the wolf Moonless?
The wolf Moonless, yeah.
Bunch of wolves got caught down in the caves at some point, and one of them was really strong, so she was isolated from her pack and mutated a bit.
Oh, okay. So just nice and simple. So she's not like some sort of god beast or anything. She's just a wolf that got transformed.
Yeah, it's like prison guard, except friendlier.
Oh, okay. Well, it's nice and simple then. She does seem pretty nice, doesn't she?
Yep.
Okay. So, why don't we have any traces of Venushka present in the dungeon? We see traces of every other old god except Venushka. Is it god of the
Probably
depths?
because Venushka was not written into canon until after Terminus development had started.
Yeah, that's what I expected.
There's some stuff. There's like 2 mentions of him, her. Can't remember.
Venushka. Sorry.
There's nothing major. There's no place on the hexen table. Venushka's just sort of not existing by that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Venushka does show up in some art, but not as a named god, because Venushka is in the Book of Enlightenment as the weird sort of meditating person off to the side. It's a big picture of Venushka, but I'm not even sure if Venushka was known as an entity when that was designed, so. And weirdly enough, the
Those
symbol...
things where you just leave some unexplained elements within your whatever story you're writing, and then later on explain those elements and go, yes, I was cleverly planning this all along and not bullshitting my way through this. What are you talking about?
Exactly. I believe Miro specifically said that he left a lot of room for extra gods and such, exactly like Venushka. So,
that is the right way to write a story.
Oh, especially one as complicated as this one gets. Also, funnily enough, the symbol for logic shows up in the Book of Enlightenment when logic didn't exist for like another 800 years, so...
Isn't the symbol for logic just one of the mirrors of the god of fear and hunger? Not mirror. Well, not your god of fear and hunger. It's an inversion of the god of fear and hunger symbol and one of the mirrors of the god of the depth symbol.
You are actually right, yes. It is. Now, I didn't think of that before. It's like a round version of it. It's like
the
two
spines
Rs.
of the R merged rather than the R facing itself.
It is, yeah. Interesting.
So it was probably planned for something in advance, but hadn't been specifically ironed out by that point.
There's also a symbol similar to the logic symbol, but explicitly different, that shows up somewhere. It's the same, but without the R back in the middle, which is weird.
So it looks sort of like an M?
No, it's the round shape, but instead of having the 3 legs, it's only got 2.
Huh.
Which seems explicit, but is not explained whatsoever, so I don't know if we'll ever find out what that means.
I mean, it's pretty obvious what it means. It means you fought logic and targeted the stinger.
That question actually had 2 more parts, right? So, is rare absent in Fear and Hunger 1?
No.
No?
You can see Rare show up a few times, not by name, only known as the Trickster Moon God. You can see a relief of him in the tiles of Mahabra and a few other images depicting him. And obviously Pocket God is there, referring to himself as a servant of the Moon God. But he has not been named.
So it's sort of like a strange shadowy figure moving behind the scenes in number 1.
Well, yes. It's not particularly like the light of the moon would reach that far down to the depths after all.
No, it sure wouldn't. Okay. The final part of this question is, why was Legard such a bitch?
I mean, he's based on Griffith.
Yeah, but...
It's just accurate to the source material.
But Griffith is cool, so I'm not sure how you get to Legard being a bitch from Griffith being cool, so...
I have never seen taste that bad before. God damn.
So does the Sulphur God show up in Fear and Hunger 1?
The symbol might in like the Book of Enlightenment or whatever, but beyond that, no.
Okay. So no sulfur in number 1.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so let me check out. I got another page of questions here.
You got a few more questions about specific things as well.
Yes, we might do that first too, actually, and then we'll go back to my dead parties questions too. So,
I mean, obviously, if they weren't strong enough to survive, their questions are far less important.
Yeah, and you know they were perhaps a bit too trusting, and you know what trusting gets you in the dungeon, right?
Yeah, trust is a weakness. Outside the dungeon as well.
You're the new god of keeping it real. Okay, so as you're going through the dungeon, you sometimes see those black priests and sacrificing people in the dungeon. What's the go with the priests there?
I mean, priests are a useful thing to keep around. Just look at what Enki can pull off.
That's very true, actually. He's quite useful.
They're also implied to be invoking some sort of strange rituals there, but the specifics of the ritual are never made explicit. They are, however, explicitly the ones that kill Legard if you wait too long.
Oh, really? So, yeah. So if you take too long to get down to Legard, you find him dead. It looks like his throat's cut. So
Yes,
the black
and
priests
in
are the.
Captain Rudimer's diary, he says he was required to hand them over for some sick ritual of theirs.
Oh, okay. And do we know anything about that ritual or no?
Nah. I mean, we know it kills Legard.
Yeah. Interesting. And so they're just kind of vibing there. They don't get attacked by the guards or anything, do they?
Well, no, they're working with the guards.
That's weird. And there's zero clues about what they're actually doing.
More or less, it's some sacrifice to some god. If I had to speculate, I would presume Rare, who's the most involved in preventing ascensions.
Oh, that'd be interesting. And it does seem that would kind of make sense because they're doing a sacrifice to Ulmir when you walk in on them.
Yep.
And Ulmir is linked to Sulfur, who is linked to Rare, so. Maybe. Okay. So, what's Nashra's deal? He's a bastard. A fun bastard.
Yeah.
I love him. But why does he hate everybody? Like, he just hates everything and everybody. What's the go?
He handled the mutations of the Black better than most, but after long years spent as a god of enlightenment, a new god of enlightenment specifically, and a constant exposure to the Black, it degraded his mind a bit.
Okay. Are you exposed to the Black when you're in Mahav, or is it only in the dungeon?
It's not made explicit. Presumably it's both. But you see no mutations in Mahav, so
No.
presumably not in Mahav.
Okay, so he was the god of enlightenment, and then I guess he got booted out when the new gods came in?
Yes, he was booted out by Valtiel.
Okay. That must have been really annoying for him to get kicked out of his study.
Well, it wasn't so much kicked out as it was brutally murdered, which is why he's so damaged and reduced to just a head and using magic to keep himself alive.
Oh, so did they cut his head off?
Presumably.
Yeah, I can imagine why he'd be mad about that. Okay. Do we know what he was studying when he was down there? Or is it just whatever?
It's implied to be more. I mean, it's Nasra. You know what he's doing.
Yeah.
According to a certain new god, apparently all he was doing was setting things on fire and sodomizing anyone he could get his hands on.
That's our Nashra. So, and then he turned himself immortal. And then another potential new god turned himself immortal. How easy is it to become immortal in this world?
Well, Nosoramus figured out how it works, so as long as you copy her notes, you're pretty much golden. It's just following a recipe, essentially.
So is that what Enki did, was follow Nosoramus's notes?
Yep, she gave him the soul anchor, he sat on the throne, rather than become a god, became immortal.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's that simple.
Huh. Really? There you go. Just have to make a friend and then you're done.
Pretty much.
So you don't...
Or, like, steal her notes.
Yeah. So, is it said that you have to explicitly, like, be, like, super smart or super magically inclined, or I guess you have to be strong enough to actually reach the throne in the first place, right?
You need to be strong enough to reach the throne in the first place, have a burning desire for enlightenment over power, and have the secret sauce.
Okay. Which is still more than, what 99.99999% of people could do.
Yeah.
So it's still not
Yeah.
easy. Actually, speaking of Enki, when there's a part where you you view people's memories or go back in time, it's not really clear exactly what's happening there. And Enki is he's like sacrificing himself. Do you know what was going on there?
He was preparing to sacrifice himself to Almer in exchange for knowledge or perhaps something grander when he had a vision of Nilvin and Legard, which is when he knew he had to set out for the dungeon.
Okay. Who gave him that vision? Was it Olmir?
Ow. Might be just himself.
Could be, yeah.
It's the tricky thing about prophetic visions. It's hard to tell if someone's pulling a fast one on you or if you're actually doing it under your own power.
That's true. That happened to Osar too, didn't it? He was being pulled to the dungeon. It was just Nashra fucking with his head.
Exactly. Great example.
And he couldn't even fight it off at all. He sort of had to do it or he was getting sick and probably die.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's sometimes how it goes.
Yeah. God. Okay. Okay. What's Pocket Cat? What is going on with Pocket Cat? He's going to be the most notorious thing in the game is Pocket Cat. What's going on?
And he's just a very friendly and talkative guy.
Yeah.
Who happens to eat children.
Why does he eat kids? What's going on there?
I mean, I think the more important question is, why don't you eat kids?
Don't knock it till you try it, right?
Right? It's like veal.
No.
What? It's like veal, but for pork. It's fine.
Oh God. That was probably one of the weirdest. There's a lot of, when you're playing the games, there's a lot of like confronting scenes. Especially if you're not used to this sort of content, right?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is like, oh shit, okay, I didn't know you could do that in a game. But here it is. And one of them that was talking to
I've never even heard of demonophobia.
Oh God. Can we even mention that without getting put on a list?
I'm already on a list, so who cares?
Talking to Pocket Cat for the first time, then he just says, "Yeah, give me the kid, and I'll trade you for the kid." It's like, oh shit, that's kind of terrifying. But then when you go into the memories again, and you literally see Pocket Cat kidnap that child, it's like, fuck me.
And it's made pretty explicit. He has particular tastes, as he says.
Yeah.
And he has an additional agenda when trying to get something from trying to get the girl.
What's the agenda?
To prevent her from ascending.
Why does he care about her ascending? How does he even know about that?
Because he's a servant of Rare, who does not like seeing people ascend.
Oh, okay.
This is why every character that you meet in Fear and Hunger 1 who is a servant of the Trickster Moon God wants the girl's life.
Oh, because he doesn't want humanity to ascend again. Because he would have been around for Olmir. And he's like, we're not doing that shit again. One was enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's interesting. Man, he really hates humans then if he's willing to unleash a servant like that to do those things to children.
Multiple servants.
Multiple, yeah, God. Ugh.
The Lady of the Moon makes the deal as well. In exchange for restoring everything, she'll take the child.
Wow, so his servants can even, like... They're pretty powerful, aren't they? They can, like, fully heal... They give you all your limbs back, right?
And cure any status effects, and restore all of your hit points. It's a complete restoration.
Wow, and Pocket Cat has all sorts of crazy items and books, doesn't he? Intermania's got a shitload of books.
Enlightenment or the Necronomicon. And what's interesting is that he'll accept other children as well. And he's not limited to one Book of Enlightenment. He has several of them.
Oh, so they don't. I guess Pocket Cat kidnaps a lot of children. Does that mean he just likes kids, or does that mean they don't actually know what child they're looking for?
Oh, he knows specifically what child he's looking for. If you have her in your party on one of the routes, he will show up a third time and almost attack you over her.
Huh.
Before reminding himself that he does not have permission to do so.
He doesn't have permission to attack?
Correct. He can only coerce.
Oh, that's really interesting. Does that apply to the other servant? Was it the Lady of the Moon as well?
She is completely pacifistic and never thinks to attack. She only talks.
Well, that's really weird. So his servants can't attack. They're not allowed to. That's really interesting.
They are not allowed to attack the little girl or anyone with her for some reason that's never elaborated on.
That applies in Termina as well. He doesn't attack. The only reason he does any damage to you is he'll talk to you and he says that, I'm not allowed to attack you, but if you ask me to hurt you, then I'll do it. And he won't let you say no. So
and there you go. He is simply not permitted to do such things.
That's really interesting.
Even if he would like to.
So I guess Rare has some sort of pact with somebody to not interfere. Or not
Seems that way. Or
not cause
perhaps
damage.
Simply has his own rules that he prefers to play by.
He's a trickster. I don't know if we're ever going to find out, because he may not even be there anymore. So
Yep.
maybe we'll get maybe in Fear and Hunger 3 we'll get a retrospective about all the old gods that have fucked off, and we'll find out everything, but probably not.
Probably not. I'd certainly hope not. Nothing faster kills mystique than making it mundane.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and how are you supposed to make 100 theory YouTube videos when it's all spelled out for you?
Precisely.
Just like a Dark Souls. That's made how many people's careers from Dark Souls lore?
Simultaneously too many and one that's not enough.
One day. Okay.
Someday I'll get people to accept my Dark Souls as canon to curvy timeline theory. Someday.
Okay. So when you're running through the dungeon, on the top layers, there's a big courtyard with a big, massive tree there. You can go inside and it goes all the way down to the bottom of the dungeon. What is the deal with the tree? Why is there a tree in the middle of a dungeon?
Well, it's not really a tree. It just looks like one.
Can you elaborate?
Yes. And I actually will. I'm not going to get around on this one. It's actually most clearly explained by the song titles on the OST of all things.
Really?
The theme that plays there is Creaking Throat of a God.
Creaking Throat of a God.
If you pay close attention to the placement of the purple sacks that seem to be the god of the depths equivalent to a heart, all of them are connected to the growths of that tree.
Oh.
That tree and the people in that tree is essentially the stomach of the god of the depths. That's why you have those people stuck in it being slowly digested.
Oh, and I guess if you could understand that as sort of how it gets oxygen as well, if it's the throat. Using the tree to suck in light and oxygen down there. Interesting.
This is also why it's filled with insects and even has the cockroach king, because it is an extension of the god of the depth.
Oh, right. And in the first game, bugs and vermin are the god of the depth's servants, aren't they?
They are.
Okay. Why does the god of the depths like that sort of stuff? Is it just because he just likes creepy crawly things?
That's just her particular taste.
Her particular. Okay. So it's
You
the
know
god of the
those
depths is a girl.
weirdo goth chicks that have a cabinet full of pills, but also a bunch of pinned butterflies or hundreds of plushies? It's like that.
I just think they're neat.
Yeah.
So do we know why the god of the depths doesn't speak or interact really?
it's probably a scale thing. It's not exactly like you can communicate effectively with ants or spiders.
True, yeah. I guess, when you think about it, if the God of the Depths is sort of the dungeon, then we're sort of parasites running through there, stabbing its organs until it dies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting, okay. That is an interesting idea, that the old gods are just such a large scale, it's difficult for them to communicate with us even if they wanted to.
The God of the Depths does, however, communicate with a few individuals inside the dungeon.
Oh, does it?
Yes, such as Captain Rudimir.
Oh, how did that happen? Like, what was that conversation about?
Well, it wasn't so much a conversation, so much as Captain Rudimir slowly losing his faith in humanity and being plagued by visions of crows.
Oh, did he become Crowmauler?
Yes, because crows are aligned with the God of the Depths, and the God of
That's
the Depths
right.
was communicating with Rudimir as one of the Lost Ones.
Okay. What's a lost one?
It's the people that are like trapped or isolated or cast out. The God of the Depths takes a particular interest in those sorts for some reason.
Do we see any other lost ones in the games?
Yes, the Harvestmen you can find in present Mahabra
The
are an
Harvestmen,
example.
they're lost ones. Really?
They're insect-like because of a pact they made with the God of the Depths to be able to survive down there.
Oh.
They were lost and
Okay.
alone and turned to the God of the Depths for salvation, and they survived, but they're going to be lost forever because of it.
Hmm. Um, do you think that the God of the Depths doesn't like the girl either because the Harvestmen take the girl, or is that just they're just weirdos and that's just a
Sorry, not the
coincidence?
Harvestmen. What the hell are they called? The Harvestmen are something different. They're
Oh,
a
okay.
creation of Valtiel. Mixed up the name. What the fuck are they called? They have a trench coat as a guaranteed drop, and they shoot poison darts on you in the overworld.
Oh, are they the Tomb Raiders?
Oh god, why can I not remember their name? This is frustrating. They're so absolutely vital for some of the runs as well because they're guaranteed trench coat drop.
Is the trench coat really that good?
It's the best armor for both the girl and for Enki.
Oh, there you go. Body snatchers?
Yes! Body Snatchers. That is the one.
Okay. Why are they called body snatchers?
Yeah.
That's a weird name.
But yeah, they were just dudes that were looting Mahabra and turned to the God of Depths for salvation after becoming a lost one. And
Huh.
was granted the capacity to survive, but not the capacity to escape.
So they got all the way down into the dungeon to loot Mahab. That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Yep. And then they got stuck, couldn't get out.
Yeah, screw that. I don't know if that would be worth it. Unless you're going there specifically to get enlightened.
And they're
Or to
going there
send.
just for the money.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very safe at all. I guess that's what Enki's doing. Kahara's doing.
Yeah, more or less.
Hmm.
And it worked out fine for him in his ending, us.
Yeah, true, it did, didn't it? Okay. Well, I suppose. Why is Crowmauler so angry? Then, like, why is he like? He was transformed because of the God of the Depths, and I guess he's lost down there now. But why does he hate you so much?
Well, he's Captain Rudimir, you see.
Hmm.
And Rudimir made a pledge to purge the dungeon of everything evil inside it.
Ah. And I guess now he works as like a protector for the God of the Depths. So his idea of evil is anybody who's
Everyone,
threatening.
basically.
Yeah.
Anyone who wanders in there is going to get mauled by the crow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that checks out. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So with Mahab, why are there like all those weird clay statues, and I guess the Harvestmen too? Like, what's going on there? Why is there
Well,
nothing else except them?
I mean, there's more than just them. There's the uteruses, there's the fetuses, there's the Lord of the Flies.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah. But like,
The
why is there
gist of
nobody
it-
like living there, like proper, like sane people?
Because dying there does something fucking weird.
Hmm.
Those weird shades you might be seeing wandering around might be ghosts. They might be people that are still technically alive in some form. There might just be echoes of a person that used to be there that's being, sent through time.
Hmm.
But there's no real detail given for those. For the harvestmen and the uteruses and the fetuses and all that fun stuff, that's basically a wizard did it, and that wizard was named Valtiel.
Because Valtiel's deal was that he was like trying to make life, wasn't he?
Yep, all of those are his attempts at various things. He couldn't quite make life. A lot of those things, when you harvest a soul from them, don't have them.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Harvestmen are exception, presumably because they started off as something living and were mutated afterwards. But the things he created from the ground up do not give souls for the soul stone because they are not truly alive.
Okay.
They are... How do I phrase this? They're essentially sex dolls, but like really high quality ones.
Okay. Well, yeah, they must be pretty high quality if they can create something, even if it's not truly alive. They can create weird, what are they, fears things?
And, are fully autonomous and move around on their own.
Yeah, yeah. Weird. So he never succeeded, did he?
Nah.
What was sort of like what was the end goal of his research? What did he end up with?
I mean, he ended up hanging himself.
yeah, he did.
After you defeat him in the past, you can actually travel back to the present and go through that doorway again. If you go down there, you can see his hanged corpse.
Wow. Okay.
Quite literally, he hanged himself.
Do you get anything if you interact with it? I might do that.
A little bit of lore.
Oh, okay.
Something about how it's all futile and he'll never escape the cycle, and how Nosramus was right.
Okay. So, even though the new gods are stronger and they're immortal, do they burn out over time? Because if he's like crying about Nosramus, but Nosramus didn't become a new god.
Yes, new gods age, and presumably, it's never shown, but presumably they die from old age.
Wow. Okay.
They do certainly age, though. If you pay close attention, when you go into the sealed gates in the present, you can find an ancient defeated Francois, beard down to his feet, sitting there depressed, having given up on everything.
Oh. Okay. That's
And
interesting.
if you ask him for advice, he will give you the instructions on how to kill him in the past, because he is that defeated.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess his soul of domination is sort of fading then, isn't it?
Yeah, his plan didn't work out very well.
Hmm.
That's actually probably a good thing to explain.
Yeah, what was his plan?
Essentially, he's spawn camping.
Spawn camping?
He's sitting his butt down on the throne of Ascension, hoping to absorb more power from it somehow so that he can become an old god, and killing anyone else who would come in there and try to ascend themselves, because he wants all of the power of the throne. It doesn't work that way, but he's really confident it'll work eventually.
Okay. Okay. And I guess it just didn't. Ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
So there could have been like, hundreds of people ever since he ascended that tried to go and become new gods as well, but he just sort of killed them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Huh.
He was deliberately preventing the rise of any new god so he could obtain as much power as possible, which didn't actually work because it doesn't work that way.
So it seems like most of the game is people figuring out how to sort of get through that ceiling of new godhood, which is sort of like a dead end almost.
Yeah, essentially. This is purely speculation on my part, but it's my personal theory that it's there both because the old gods wanted to have the have humanity have something to guide them, and because Rare is a dickhead. If you dangle power in front of someone and be like, yes, let's become a god, they're not going to question what type of god they become or whether they'll be as powerful as you. They'll just be like, hell yeah, give me that immortality and power.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And someone that becomes a new god can never become an ascended one.
Yeah. Although it is interesting that they still sort of use the power of the new gods to make ascended gods.
Well, no, they used an old god for that in both cases, I believe.
The god of fear and hunger is half new god, and it's implied that she isn't.
She is not. I mean, she's half new god in that she's half divinity, but she's an ascended one from the body of an old one.
Oh yeah, what I mean is that the girl was born from a new god, and it seems that Ulmir was as well, because I believe it says his father was a false god. In quotation marks.
In that case, yes, I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Yes, partial new gods can become ascended ones through some sort of process that seems to imply that it requires the murder of an old one.
Yeah.
In the case of Almer, potentially Venushka, but I don't believe it's explicitly spelled out.
No, we do know Venushka died, but it just sort of said that humanity killed Venushka, and it's like there's no specific mention of if that was Ulmir or what the go was.
Yep, it's left ambiguous, but he had to have done something to ascend.
Yeah. There are interesting clues that there was a sun god that died, and he may have used that, but that's for an hour-long lore video at some point in the future, I think.
Yep. It's the same way that the god of the depths is totally forgotten by the time of Termina.
But the interesting thing is, the god of the depths seems to still be there, which is really weird. Because you see her, this is just a bit of a tangent, but you see the god of the depths symbol there, and you still see some references to her being around, which is weird. But it might be a case
you also see all of her abilities transferred to the girl.
Yeah, but the girl, it's weird. Because there's like, people seem to invoke the god of the depths, and you see her symbol next to the god of fear and hungers, even though they shouldn't be concurrent. So it might be a case of when Ulmir ascended, and you find this out in Termina, when Ulmir ascended, all of his bad elements got slown off into the sulfur god. And so it might be a case of when a god ascends, all of their bad elements get slown off into, get dumpstered as the remains of whatever they used to ascend. Which is why some people think that Ulmir ascended using the old sun god. But
it's certainly possible.
Yeah, it's like, if this is explicitly stated anywhere, it is.
That's game theory.
We're still digging through the game and trying to find some proof.
Yeah, I should get back to it at some point. Probably wait for another few patches, because right now it's just too frustrating to find the NPCs.
Yeah. We still got a couple more patches before it's as good as it will be. But on the plus side, it's been, I think, over a month since the last patch, so there's a big one cooking. The last one, I believe, was the running patch and then a bug fix for that. And
yes, I do remember that running patch.
Running patch was fantastic. I
haven't actually played since before the running patch.
Yeah, well, in the Discord, Miro posted screenshots of a new area that he's working on, so it's likely that the new patch will include a brand new area, which is sort of like a fishing village on the lake with like boardwalks and stuff.
Rather unfortunate.
Unfortunate? How come?
Most of the areas are already empty and devoid of anything interesting. Basic enemies, sure, but nothing interesting. If you're adding more area without more content to back it up, you're just adding more emptiness to the game. Which is unfortunate, because the game already isn't as dense content-wise as it should be.
I think the issue is that the content is there, but in each area it's sort of spread out over the 3 days. So there's like an event on day 1, an event on day 2, an event on day 3, that sort of thing.
Which is precisely what I mean by the lack of content density.
So it's I think if you did a proper path when you sort of like wrote down when you should sleep and you did it all, you'd find a shitload of content. But it's tough to
You're
find.
not going to get that in your first time through.
No, you're not. Yeah, so I guess we'll see. And there's a lot of stuff that's character specific as well. Like you can find there's a unique scene if you play as Karen and you find Pav in the ruins and you can just kill him there day 1 really easily. And no other character has that opportunity. All like the Caligura ones where if you're Abella or Marco and you sleep in a certain bed at a certain time, you get Caligura day 1 and nobody else has access to Caligura day 1.
Yes, because of his magic ability to disappear into the ether.
He does have that. At least with Samarie, it's kind of explained why she can do that, because she's a rare cultist.
I mean, she's not disappearing into the ether. She's disappearing into the rare dimension.
yeah, she is.
She's at least there, just not in the there that you're thinking of.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with you there, especially as I've played it for like, I think I'm up to like 80 hours or something like that. There's some areas that I just know to ignore, like almost entirely, and it's like, because there's just not much to do there.
Yeah.
But hopefully that'll improve over time. The first game improved quite a bit over time, so.
Yes, it did. I do want to see if I can down patch the first game, though. Comparing the original version to the later revisions could be a fun stream.
That would be really interesting, yeah. Version. Did it release as a full game, or was it like early access, or?
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Would you be getting the versions without coin flips?
We'll find out.
Because I remember hearing that got added later. That's crazy. And no warnings either. No warnings on insta kills. It was just if you didn't guard, it was before guards, before coin flips, before warnings. That's what it started as. So if you were fighting this enemy on this turn, you got hit with an insta kill.
Interesting. I could still probably manage. I mean, I got one of the S endings on hard mode like 8 times in a row in one stream because I was bored.
Did you ever get Ragnvaldr's S ending?
Yeah. I actually got Ragnvaldr's without using any weapons as well.
Oh god. How did you do that?
Combination of magic and items. The only other ways you could possibly deal damage, and also a lot of bare-handed strikes. Punching Chromall to death was super risky, let me tell you.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta do something to extend the gameplay life with how thoroughly I've beaten the game to death.
Yeah. Is there actually anything you have left to do in Fear and Hunger 1?
Not particularly. I've actually never played through on Terror and Starvation mode, so I might do that at some point. But that's why I'm looking at earlier revisions of the game.
Okay. Anyway, let's get back to questions. That was a bit of a diversion. Okay. Yeah, so when you're running through the dungeon, you find the Crown Prince and a bunch of people from his party running around. Why the hell did they go into the dungeon?
Well, they lost contact with Captain Rudimir, and they were like, okay, so what's going on in there? Why is the captain no longer sending us letters? Why are we no longer receiving vital information? What happened to the prisoner? We've gotten a bunch of important assets there. What's going on?
Okay, so why did the Crown Prince himself go? Why not just send like a champion?
Royalty be like that sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna go to the...
Objectively, yes, it is a stupid thing for him to do. But he wasn't aware that he was plunging headlong into something worse than the rumors had told him.
Yeah. I mean, geez, even if you listen to
the... Fine. He thought it'd just be a conjugal visit to see his buddy Rudimir.
I mean, even if you just listen to the rumors, it's like, yeah, this place is a waking nightmare. I should go and check it out.
Yeah. I mean, he had Captain Rudimir and all of his best guards over there. He had the elite knights there, subjugating the dungeon. Surely it would be safe by then.
They even sent in the Vatican knights, didn't they? The ones wearing that special armor. They got sent in too, didn't they?
Possibly, but possibly not. A Vatican Knight may have gone in there. We find one Vatican Knight armor set and nothing else.
Okay. But some heavy hitters went in there, so I guess it is reasonable to expect that the place wouldn't be crawling with nightmares.
Yeah, far less likely to assume that your heavy hitters became those nightmares.
Yeah.
And that's presumably the reason Chromauler is so terrifying, because it's Captain fucking Rudimere, beefed up on mutagens.
Yeah, with a fucking club strapped to his arm, and his brain scrambled like eggs. Okay, one more specific question. Why can we travel through time in Mahab? What's the go with that?
Now. There's devices that do it. What more do you want?
Yeah. Is time travel ever explained in any single way? Like, does anybody else ever mention it?
Nothing aside from the fact that if you do that with the cube, you get sent back there. Presumably it's a failsafe so that if the Throne of Ascension gets destroyed, there is still a way to use it.
Oh, okay. Interesting. That's an interesting concept. That they send you back to basically just after it was made, just to make sure you can do it. That's really weird.
I mean, if you travel there in the present, it has been destroyed. By the God of the Depths, no less.
Why did the God of the Depths destroy the chair?
Same reason a weed destroys concrete.
Ah, just over time.
Slowly over time, her body expanded into the throne room and ate it.
That's weird. So it wasn't like a conscious thing at all. It was just sort of get out of the way.
I mean, you tell me what the thoughts are going through the God of the Depths head is, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So during in one part of the game, you can find the what's the go with the lizards? Like, why are there all the lizard people running around?
Oh, they used to be around before humanity was.
Oh, so they were like. Wait, so there was a race there before humans?
Yeah, humans are relatively young.
Huh. Are
The
there
lizards even had their own new gods.
Really?
Yes.
Do we see them in game?
Yes. It's referred to as the Greater Blight. It is a fucking T-Rex.
Really? Where do you find that?
You find it in the void, and it is the only creature I've ever seen hit for more than 200 in one attack.
Wow. Okay. Can you talk to it?
I've never tried, but presumably not.
I imagine an old god, a new god that old would probably be pretty scrambled as well.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. So the lizards we see were sort of on Earth before humanity, and they've just sort of survived, right?
Yep.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot of them around because, I mean, you've got two predators, bipedal meat-eaters, competing for the same space. Eventually, one's going to extinct the other.
Yeah. Yeah, true. True. And humans do have a propensity for killing fucking everything.
Yep.
So, do we know why the new gods sort of got bored with the lizards and made... Sorry, the old gods got bored with the lizards and made humans?
No, but presumably the lizards were displeasing to them in some way.
Okay. They weren't sexy enough or something.
Or something.
So then the old gods... Because the old gods made humanity, allegedly made humanity. That's what the books say.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't around back then, so I can't give good examples of it. I can guess, but I wasn't around then.
So, I guess if there are new gods that were around back, and there may very well be, but I guess they just don't talk anymore, do they? Because they just sort of give up after a while in the Great Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So when... Is the Great Hall explained? Sorry.
Syphilis actually has a really good question that I want to get to immediately because of how good it is.
Oh, yeah, sure. Why is there a two-headed crow mauler? Is it Captain Rudimere or someone else?
It is almost definitely Captain Rudimir because it drops the third part of his diary.
Oh, okay. So Chrome Mauler transforms after a while, or is there two Chrome Maulers?
That's a really interesting question that is ambiguous because of bad programming. So it's extremely likely that when you first step foot into Mahabra, that Chrome Mauler was no longer going to harass you.
Yeah.
Essentially, Chrome Mauler is supposed to despawn at that point.
Okay.
But it doesn't always work. Sometimes you just get the message warning randomly. Sometimes Chrome Mauler will show up without a warning. Sometimes both the warning and the message will work, and Chrome Mauler will show up.
Yeah. Yeah, I walked into the temple where you pray to the new gods, and I got the warning that Chrome Mauler was coming, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, he probably didn't actually spawn. But presumably, since you have to visit Mahabra before you can get to the God of the Depths, the reason Chrome Mauler despawns would be to go into that mouth and mutate into double-headed.
Okay.
But,
yeah, that makes sense.
They don't think there's a new old god based around crows? The old god based around crows is God of the Depths. That's why the God of the Depths has Flock of Crows as a spell.
Yeah, yeah. And then the God of Fear and Hunger hijacks a lot of those spells.
Yes, and Cano 114 has a great expansion on that. That is almost definitely Eurojank. That confirms my theory that it's supposed to be the same dude.
Yeah, if you kill him
Damage
above...
you deal to the initial Chrome Mauler is supposed to carry over to the second-headed Chrome Mauler, but it doesn't always work properly, like most of the Chrome Mauler scripts. But it's probably the same guy. It's probably Captain Rudimir.
Okay. Interesting.
I believe you had a precise list of easy questions that weren't in chat that we can get to.
Yes. Yes, I did. I had some more questions from my dead party. Some of these we've already answered, so just give me a second. Is it a coincidence that the Dungeons of Fear and Hunger are on top of Mahab? We've answered that one. Why do the yellow mages use the color yellow? What do you think the meaning of the color yellow is in the world of Fear and Hunger?
I don't know. Maybe Nasra really likes yellow.
That seems to be
like,
the
that's
answer to that, isn't
it?
it? Yeah.
Why does Nasra like yellow? I don't know. It's his favorite color for some reason. Why is your favorite color not yellow? But he's got, like, the Eclipse Sigil that represents being a servant of him is yellow. I believe he's referred to as a terror in yellow or something along those lines at one point. He just likes the color yellow.
Yeah.
So his servants wear yellow because he likes the color.
Okay. Yellow related to rare? I don't think so.
Rare the tiles that depict him in the Dungeon of Fear and Hunger 1 are yellow, but not aware of any causal link beyond that.
No, I don't recall him being explicitly linked to yellow in Termina as well, so... He's linked to green, but that's just sort of the green haze from the old gods anyway.
Yeah, the green light of the void.
So is there any indication of the gods having conflict with each other? I'm sure their powers could easily kill each other if desired. So, like, did any of the old gods fight each other? New gods fight each other? That sort of thing.
The new gods do fight each other. If you have Nasra in your party, when you visit the Hall of the New Gods, he will kill one of them.
Really?
Yes. Go into the Hall of the New Gods with Nasra in your party and ask about him. He will be so pissed off by the answer that he will kill one of them and you will be immediately ejected from the hall. Nasra became a new god at one point, so yes, we do have confirmation that the new gods fight each other.
Wow, okay.
Gods, technically, we do have confirmation that the old gods fight the new gods, because Grogoroth just blows up Nasra.
Yeah. And if the old guys were sort of shitty at humanity, getting so uppity all the time, I'm sure in the past there are times where they've squashed new gods.
Probably. But we have no concrete evidence of old gods fighting amongst themselves. Presumably because they're immortal?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to think through like all the different books we've seen, and Like, we've heard of them dying, but we've never heard of them actually fighting each other. I think the only mention in the books of direct conflict would be Venushka getting owned. Everything else is just sort of, you just hear about their shenanigans, but no actual fighting.
Yep. So old gods presumably don't fight each other since it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
But old gods and new gods getting all sorts of scraps. New gods and new gods getting into scraps. New gods and humans getting into scraps.
I suppose old gods and humans do, because also with Grogoroth, obviously Venushka, but also Grogoroth.
Well, that was the traces of him and not the real him.
But it's said that he just slaughters people. He just likes it. And he wears their skin and bodies as a fond memory.
Yes. But that's not so much humans doing anything to him so much as being play toys.
Yeah. It's hard to consider that a fight, isn't it? It's him just mashing his toys together.
Yep.
Let's see. Why are new gods a bad thing for humanity? As a new god, why do you think new gods are bad things for humanity?
I mean, I don't, obviously.
Are they a bad thing or are they a good thing for humanity? What's the go? What do you reckon?
I mean, it's the same as giving anyone else power. The best ruler, the best system of government is a good king, and the worst system of government is a bad king.
yeah, it is. This is Legard's whole story, isn't it? He realizes that the kings are kind of shit, and so he wants to become something better, and then he realizes the new gods are kind of shit, so he wants to become something better. He just fails at it. And yeah, like, life was great when the new gods were actually doing stuff, but then they just stop, and it just ends eventually.
Well, some of them stopped, some of them didn't. Some of them devoted themselves to their own research.
Yeah.
The Tainted One, for instance, is still active, even by the time of Termina.
He's the one with all the skin ripped off, isn't he?
No, that's the Tormented One. The Tainted One is the chick who's like fused to her chair with her tits out that you give the heads to.
Yeah, does she show up in one?
She is referenced in the lore dump as one of the new gods.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess she would technically have to be older than the Fellowship, wouldn't she? Because after the Fellowship, the only new god was Legard, so... Yes. And that hasn't been any sense, so she would definitely have to be before the Fellowship.
Correct.
Is the ancient city abandoned because you killed the new gods in the past, or where are they now?
I mean, even in the past, it's kind of weirdly abandoned. The only things there are Valtiel's creations and the weird shades. It just seemed to work like that. Presumably humans don't fare too well that close to divinity.
No, it seemed to scramble. At best, your mind gets scrambled. At worst, your everything gets scrambled.
More or less.
Yeah. Because not even like... who is it? Not Nilvan, it's the other one with N. Nosramus isn't in there. He
yes.
fucked off.
She fucked off, yes.
Wait, is Nosramus a boy or a girl?
Female, as confirmed by the unredacted editions of the stories of the Fellowship you can only find in the library.
Oh, interesting.
The Library of Enlightenment, was that its name? Whatever, you know the library.
Yeah.
Has different versions of the lore books there.
So what's the difference between the story of the Fellowship as it's told in the dungeon and then the actual story, what happened?
Well, going by the story as it's told in the library, Nosramus was like, wait, this feels like a trap. I'm gonna go do something else. And then the other four jumped into the trap of new godhood.
So did Nosramus ever figure out how to get past the trap?
Yes, that is how she invented the process to enlightenment.
And that's sort of just becoming immortal as a human.
Yes, it's becoming immortal and gradually acquiring infinite knowledge. A path Enki is also walking down.
Can they be killed when you... What's that process called? Soul anchoring?
I mean, I don't think it has a name. It's just called enlightenment.
Okay, so can you be killed if you're on that path of enlightenment?
Oh. Never gotten a chance to test that.
Yeah.
I'll let you know in case I get a chance to take a whack at Nozoramus.
Cube of the Depths, was that really found and retrieved from Vinland? Isn't Vinland technically America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an easy one, yes.
Yeah, we don't really know why it was there. It just was. And that's sort of all we know about it. The cube is like, the cube is a mystery box. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a MacGuffin.
Are Termina questions welcomed? What do you reckon?
I'll answer to the best of my ability, but I have not plunged the depths of Termina the way I have the first one. I've beaten Termina once and will return to it after a few patches, whereas in Fear and Hunger, I've punched gods to death out of boredom.
I can try and answer some Termina questions, but we are preferring to focus on Fear and Hunger 1 today. What's up with the orgy cultists that wear animal masks, like the bunny masks and the wolf masks?
I mean, those are just initiating rituals to appease the old gods. Wolf masks being Grogoroth, which is why there is cannibalism orgy, whereas the bunny mask orgies are just regular orgies.
So these people are like,
Sylvia.
so they're just happy to sacrifice themselves for the old gods.
I mean, if you're stuck in a dungeon and everyone's going fucking crazy and murdering everyone, and your two options are orgy to death or get murdered, what are you gonna pick?
Yeah, that's sort of a good point. Well, we see multiple orgies. Well, we see the cannibalism, we see the orgy, but we also see the Hydra, which is a result of an orgy, isn't it?
Yes, the Hydra was an attempt to create a super marriage.
Wait. Let's step back a bit. What's a marriage?
A marriage is when two people make love in the name of Sylvian and get fused into a single being.
Okay, so two people become one person, and
Correct.
And multiple people can do that at the same time?
Yes. However, it is considered abominable in the eyes of Sylvian.
Oh, okay. So she lets you do it, but she's like, you really shouldn't have done that.
Yes, and the human Hydra is an attempt at creating an abominable marriage with the power for them to get out safely. It didn't work.
Oh, so they tried to do it to get out.
Well, or to survive, or for some other reason.
Well, I guess they're all kind of fucked up anyway, so who knows what they were thinking.
Indeed.
So they can't get out. So everybody can't get out of the dungeon, right? Like, because it seems like you could just walk out, but everyone's stuck there.
I mean, the fog. Have you ever wandered out lost in the fog before?
No, I haven't actually.
It is human nature to wander in a large circle and wander all the way back to where you came.
Oh, so like, is the fog like magic, or is it just like sort of the nature of
that's just how ordinary fog works, even in real life. That's literally just how it works.
Oh, okay. So, and I guess if it's in like the weird mountains in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by wolves, apparently.
Yes, surrounded by wolves. Your options are to wander in the fog until you wind up back where you started, or get mauled by wolves on the way there.
Okay. So, so you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, really. I guess it's the lesser of two evils. Do you get brutally murdered and possibly raped in the dungeons, or do you get torn to pieces and lost outside?
Or do you go in the dungeons long enough to wait for the fog to clear up and escape, as happens in a couple of endings?
Oh, so that's basically some of the escape ending is just you're just sort of waiting out the fog.
No, the escape ending is you go crazy and wander the dungeons forever. You can escape in ending C1 by following Legard's trail, or Yellow King, or Kaiser, as some might call him. You can escape in a couple of the S endings by completing your task and walking out when the fog gets thin.
Oh, okay.
And yes, Hakan has it. The Hydra, the human Hydra, is the prototype of the platoon.
Yeah, the platoon is really cool in Termina. They Legard learned from the Hydra in the dungeons, and then learned how to weaponize the Hydra and turn it into platoon. It even has a Sylvian trooper there next to it to sort of guide it, which is cool.
Yeah, it's cool up until the scripting breaks, and then once you kill the fucking Sylvian trooper, it just spams the coin flip attack every single turn.
Yeah,
Twice in a row.
I did that yesterday.
Orange and your fucking Eurojank.
Apparently,
I'm not bitter. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was informed by my chat yesterday when I was doing that exact fight that it's random what it does after Sylvian Trooper is dead, and so it can just spam coin flips.
Yeah, that's all it did for like 8 turns in a row, and then I ran out of lucky coins, and
and some of the attacks you can't even guard against. It just says there's not enough room to.
Correct. The coin flip deals damage even if you guard.
That's insane.
Which is fine. I could heal through that. I had Osa. He's overpowered.
Yeah. Yeah, I was only getting through with Hardened Heart, which was clutch.
Yeah, no, I had like Osa beefed up so that his whatever the spell is, that's a group heal, was healing for like 125.
Jesus, yeah.
And costing like 12 MP.
Nice. We might take a short break, and then we'll come back. We've got a couple more questions after that, and we'll start taking some more questions from chat too.
Excellent.
Okay, we're back. Will they fix your internet? I would if I could. This is the best internet we have out here. It's not getting better than this.
You try running fiber optic cables all the way down into the depths of the earth like this.
Yeah. We're lucky that I could set up some routers all the way up to the top of the dungeon.
A miracle what Wi-Fi extenders can do.
Yeah. Fuck you too, Lapon Kotsu.
Same, honestly.
Okay, so where were we? Had a couple more questions that I had written down from my dead party members. Okay. Why is Pocket Cat's mask different in Scary and Hungry the First?
Presumably, because it's a different mask, or because the art style changed.
Yeah, it's most probably because the art style changed. We do find out in Termina that the actual person who is Pocket Cat does change over time, so it could be a separate person as Pocket Cat in the intervening years, but I don't think it's ever explicitly said anywhere why Pocket Cat 1 and Pocket Cat 2 are different. Let's see. What happens to the new gods? As it seems from Fear and Hunger 1's ending to the start of 2, they were seemingly forgotten about by most, despite there being hundreds of new gods and many documents about it.
I mean, they weren't precisely forgotten about. There's plenty of occults books in Termina that reference things like the Tainted One. But their power waned after a certain Kaiser took the cube with him, presumably.
Yeah, it's I believe it's in Karen's beginning. She talks about the new gods kind of like they're sort of like known as like the Illuminati of the Fear and Hunger world. People just think they're sort of like a group of rich businessmen that control things behind the scenes. But yeah, after the Yellow King took the cube, there couldn't be any more new gods, so it's just the Yellow King left, basically. Everyone else is kind of dead.
Until someone kills Kaiser and brings the cube back into Mahabra, there will be no new gods.
Yeah, and the cube may have been used to make logic in ending, I think it's A. So we may not even be able to get it back ever at this point. But I guess we'll find out in Fear and Hunger 3.
I'll find out.
I'll try and skip some Termina ones, unfortunately.
Oh no, feel free. I'll just call them an idiot.
Okay.
I'll just insult you if you ask a question that I don't know the answer to. This is explicitly a Fear and Hunger 1 lore Q&A, and if you ask something different, I'll mock you for it.
Okay, yep, sorry guys. We did say explicitly Fear and Hunger 1, so this is your own doing. How deep does the Sulphur God's influence by the time of Termina take place? We see Black Caliph, Pekeli, Stitches and Needles, and probably more. They have some sort of direct connection with the Sulphur God. So can you explain the Sulphur God?
No, you idiot.
This one's a bit of both. Are the Molded from the Void level in Fear and Hunger 1 related to the Sulphur God? When you inspect their corpse, it says that they reek of sulphur.
Ooh, the Molded. Now that's not something I've thought about in a long time. I believe it was created... It was similar to what Valtiel was doing, an attempt at creating life that went poorly.
Okay.
Very unlikely that it was the Sulphur God, because it was called out to specifically be a new god.
Okay. They could have been corrupted by the Sulphur God too, since he likes doing that. Almost every single...
possibly. But they're fucked up creations of a new god.
Yeah.
Whether or not Sulphur fucked with them afterwards is... You'd have to find that out in Termina, and I'm super deep in that.
Well, we're sort of realizing in hindsight that the scarab beetles are sulphur cultists, which is interesting.
That has to be a retcon.
Well, I think it's...
Because in the original, they were created by new gods in Mahabra as a form of punishment.
Okay. I guess it could be the same thing where... Because almost every other person we see that's connected to sulphur has been corrupted by sulphur. He hasn't created anything, he's just corrupted. So it could be, yeah, they've been punished and then sulphur's like, I'll take that.
Interestingly enough, despite them allegedly being men, if you have mastery over insects, you can converse with them.
Oh, interesting. So I guess they're sort of messed up by the god of the depths too.
Well, perhaps. Perhaps they've been punished by something else. The point is that they've been mutated into insect men
Yeah.
by something as a form of punishment for their wickedness.
Okay. Their wicked. Do we know like what their wickedness was, or just you were
Nah.
bad?
They did something bad. That's all that's said.
Okay. Okay. This is a two-part question. Who is the forgotten one from the Fellowship? Is it Nashra or Nosramus? Secondary.
Nashra predates the Fellowship. It's Nosramus.
Okay. And Nosramus and the Forgotten One explicitly didn't become a new god, so it definitely couldn't be Nash.
Correct.
And the second part of the question is, why is Enki so attractive? Please explain Catface.
Because you grew up on Tumblr, and the Tumblr brain rot has compelled you to be perpetually attracted to Tumblr sexy men like him.
Love him or hate him, Bones is spitting facts, guys.
You know I'm right. I know how you degenerates work.
Aren't you a Tumblr sexy man too, Bones?
Not intentionally, but yes, I've been called that repeatedly and decided I may as well embrace it.
Yeah, okay. So here's an important question. What is a Tumblr sexy man then?
Oh, good God. The most concise explanation of it is that it is the shut-in weirdo girls version of Tomoko. That sort of loser that's exceptionally attractive because you can visualize them as attainable.
Oh, Bones, you gotta kill my audience. Can you stop doing this? You're chasing them away. These are our viewers, Bones. These are our viewers. What are you doing?
I'm the #1 viewer, Auntie.
That's true, he is.
I fucking hate viewers. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Okay, let's get off topic before we lose everybody watching. What causes the Fear and Hunger dungeon to drain the character's hunger and sanity the way it does? The game explicitly states the dungeon drains the character's hunger and sanity at an unnatural rate. Could it be the influence of the old gods like Grogoroth? Or some magic set by the mages? I think we've covered this before, but we may as well.
Yes, we have covered this one. It is not Grogoroth. It is the god of the depths, essentially digesting you.
Mm. Oh god, so... Wow, so it's digesting us and sort of like using our energy, but I guess it's not really strong enough to do anything.
I mean, it's strong enough to do plenty, but... Think of it, if the tree is the throat, the black is something like the saliva.
Okay. Hang on. What's the mouth at the bottom that you actually go into? Where does that lead again?
It leads deeper into the dungeon. Perilous parts of the god of the depths body filled with absolutely ridiculously punishing traps called the gauntlet.
Okay. Is the gauntlet explicitly part of the god of the depths?
Yes, it is her body.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And at the very end of it, there is a massive pile of human corpses.
Why are the corpses there? Did she eat them?
Presumably.
Hmm.
There's plenty of corpses located throughout the rest of her body.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, there's no shortage of corpses in the dungeon. And I guess because it seems like the cave dwellers worship her, it wouldn't be shocking if they threw people into her mouth to feed her.
Oh, presumably.
Hmm. Okay.
I wouldn't know if there's any fancy game overs there confirming that, because I'm too good to have actually ever died there.
Well, actually, I think this is all the answers that I've got written down from my dead companions. So I guess we'll take answers from the Whispers of the Dungeon now.
Ah, lovely.
Okay, so Whispers of the Dungeon. If you have any questions about Fear and Hunger 1, then ask them now. If you have questions about Fear and Hunger 2, we'll make fun of you.
Ooh, Leonix9 has a good question. Yes, consent is required to form a marriage. And I will leave it up to you how a prison guard and a random wolf consented to fucking each other.
Oh god. Oh god, how did they... Yeah, because there's the cave wolf and the guard marriage you can find later, isn't there? Maybe consent in Sylvian terms is a bit different from consent in human terms. I think that's a dangerous path to go down.
There's a reason I left it as an exercise to the viewer, after all. I wouldn't want to tarnish my say-so reputation.
You are the most say-so VTuber after all. Okay, so what are the red men in Chambara's palace? Are they his torture victims who have been mutated to continue being tormented, or perhaps his followers?
I mean, they could easily be both. They're definitely the first one. They are torture victims that Ron Chambara tortured, similar to the White Angel.
Okay, so what's Ron Chambara's deal, by the way? Let's take a step back and do why is he all like gross and fleshy and has no skin?
You know those weirdo emo guys that like cut themselves?
Yeah.
It's basically just that, but like more so.
Wow, okay. Yeah, taken to new god levels and superhuman levels then, I guess. Yeah, I guess you'd be peeling your skin off at that point, wouldn't you?
Superhuman levels of edgy.
He is. Wow, okay. And I guess his followers do that too then. Interesting. Are they human or what are they?
I mean, the White Angel seems to imply to have been human at one point, similar to the Redmen. They are people that have been mutated by torture over the years.
Okay.
Why Lizard Wizards and the Gauntlet say something about the race to becoming a god? Well, I'll answer their existence, which is, a yellow mage and a lizard somehow consented to doing it in a Sylvian circle.
I guess that's a lot less problematic than fucking a dog.
They're both sentient creatures. They're both capable of developing stuff.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a language barrier to overcome.
Yeah.
And the race to becoming a god is presumably what happens with the girl at the very end when she becomes a god.
Okay. The race to become a god. Interesting. That's an interesting term to use, isn't it?
It is. What's up with the strange doll? Where did it come from, and why is it in the cell with Kahara? Oh. Some guy there really liked dolls, or like he was making it for his daughter or whatever.
Yeah. Because Kahara has a kid, doesn't he?
The girl originally, even before everything went to shit.
Yeah, because Kahara has a kid on the way, doesn't he?
Yes. It's not his doll, though.
Not his doll? Oh, okay.
If you play as him, it's still in the cell.
I always wonder if how canon is it when you play as him compared to when they're NPCs?
Meh.
Maybe it's a lot more grey in number 1, but in number 2 it feels like you are absolutely like it's just not canon whatsoever when you play as them. Because like, you know, as Levi, you can avoid heroin addiction, but he's obviously meant to have it. So
yes.
It's always a bit grey.
Similar to how Kahara has the option in his intro to not abandon his comrades, but if you ever dealt with him as an NPC, you know he's the sort of bastard that would.
Yeah.
Ooh, Luis Vidal is a good question. And yes, actually, can you pull up the title screen image? Because I can name each and every one of them.
Oh, yes. Give me one moment. If you answer another question in the meantime while I pull this up.
In fact, not even the characters, but even the scenery and background reference events within the game.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where is it?
What is the machine that the Tormented One is strapped to in the second phase of his boss battle? Oh, it's a Silent Hill 4 reference. That's it. It's a throwback or throw sideways, I suppose, to the final boss of Silent Hill 4 and little else.
It's also similar to what happens at the end of Event Horizon too, but I suppose there wasn't anybody strapped to that.
That sounds like a movie. I've never watched a movie, so I can't help you with that one.
Oh, okay. Yes, I've got the image right now. I'm pulling it up.
What is the machine? Music significant for any other way than the song for the tree. Not as far as I'm aware.
Okay, so we've got it
Why
up
are
on
there
stream now.
priests crucifying a dude on Almir's cross in the dungeon? Because as long as blood runs down that cross, Almir is said to offer his protection to the nearby area around it.
So are they trying to protect the dungeon using Allmere?
Or themselves, either or.
Or themselves? That would make sense, actually.
Bring that image back up. I gotta look at it.
Okay. So who do we got?
Wait, did you bring the image back up?
Yeah, oh, it must be. I'll just send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It's on stream, but it's a bit delayed.
Delay is always a wonderful thing, isn't it?
All right, let's move it over so we can see you speaking and my face is covered.
Perfect. On the far left, you have Nosramis. Next to Nosramis, behind and above her, is the old knight who goes nameless, but you can fight his armor and his ghost. Obviously, you've got the famous little girl right there in the center. To the right of her is Legard, cutting his wrists because he's an edgy bastard. Griffith-ass wannabe. The flowers surrounding them are the flowers you find on the 10th floor of the dungeon, surrounding the god of fear and hunger during her ascension.
Interesting.
And peering in from the far right is Sylvian.
Oh, that's Sylvian.
She takes multiple forms. There is one in one of the lore books that resembles that.
Okay. Interesting. That weird shape in the background, the sort of grey shape, is that anything or is that just stone?
It's probably part of the dungeon. It might be something like, I don't know, the mines, but it's probably part of the dungeon.
Do you know if there's anything special with Legard's hand shape? Because I noticed in earlier versions it's different.
No, not to my knowledge.
I wondered if it means something. I'd like to look that up sometime.
Presumably a gesture used to invoke specific magic.
Interesting. Oh, by the way.
What is the deal with the butterfly? Well, basically he's a furry.
We hate furries
and
here.
It implies that if you kill all of the organs and then return to where he was, it is implied that he is successful and becomes his persona.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. There you go. Okay.
Why defeating logic interrupts the festival? I don't know. You tell me, Dingus.
Yeah. I'm digging through the lore and it's
to the logic ending. I didn't see nothing about the festival in there. I couldn't figure out where the hell anyone else was and gave up and just did God ending A because it was simple.
Yeah. Look, I don't think there's any sort of clear answer as to why it interrupts the festival. I think the festival might just time out and you just sort of skip it.
Maybe.
Because you're actually on the third festival. By the time you get there, there's been 2 more festivals in the preceding days before you get there. So it's like,
yep,
it just times out.
Ain't like it's at the end of the world or nothing. Just gonna be the end of your world because you get your ass killed.
Yeah. Okay, we probably missed it. If we missed some questions, feel free to ask them again. Because there's a lot happening in chat. So, is the girl destined to become a god, or does she just happen to fit the bill?
Well, if your parents really want you to become a doctor, and then you do, were you destined to become a doctor? It works the same way.
Yeah.
Her mom really wanted her to do that, and that's what she wound up doing.
Yeah, it seemed like the process of being trapped in the dungeon is important for shaping her, and having a new god parent seems important, but it doesn't seem like every person with a new god parent becomes an ascended god. Otherwise, we probably have a lot more ascended gods. We only have 2 that we know of.
Yep, and with how much Nolan seems to sleep around.
Yeah. I have a question. I remember being able to visit Allmir's corpse. What's up with that?
I mean, the dude had to leave his mortal body behind somewhere.
Yeah. In the Allmir lore books, I don't know if this is mentioned in 1, but it's definitely mentioned in 2. When Allmir is crucified, he travels to Mahab bodily. and then comes back as the ascended god. How that works, who fucking knows? But yeah, that was his physical form, I guess.
Yeah, like presumably the body of the little girl is still down there somewhere in the dungeon as well.
Yeah.
Why is the guard cutting off his arm? Because he's an edgy bastard.
He is. What's the story behind the man who wields the Eastern sword? Which one's the Eastern sword? Who's that?
Oh, that's the katana.
Black steel? Or is that a different one?
Yes. The black steel of the east that you have to purify for. He is... God. Technically, I believe he's an assassin.
An assassin? Well, I guess Ragnvald is an assassin too, isn't he? So I was going to ask, why is there an assassin in the dungeon? Well, there's a lot of people that need killing in the dungeon, so...
Basically, he came over to kill people in the dungeon. Just try to stop the spread of evil. And maybe succeeded for a while? Didn't completely succeed. Same thing as Crowmauler, really.
So the dungeons are known as a place of like evil, but I guess it's sort of like not necessarily evil, but just more old god influence, which is evil from our perspective.
Yeah, more or less.
And I suppose that's really no different to like getting corrupted by Grogoroth or getting corrupted by Sylvian. It's like it's not good for humans at all, but for the old gods, it's like this is what they do.
Yeah, it's like calling uranium evil because it gave you cancer. I mean, it's just doing what it does, man.
Yeah.
You should not have swallowed it. I don't care how many calories it had and how much you wanted to bulk. You should not have swallowed it.
It's the ultimate bulk, though.
No, it's not even the ultimate bulk. There's an FDA-banned supplement that really helps you add mass fast.
Really?
Called lead pellets.
Okay. Where did blue sin come from, and why does it collapse the mine?
Somewhere. Like, someone somewhere had a really awesome magic sword, and they died in there. And it just happened to wedge itself in just the right way that it holds up a crucial portion of the mine. There's nothing to be said beyond that. It came from someone at some point and has been there for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. Why were the yellow mages in the dungeons to begin with?
They're servants of Nashra, and it was part of their training.
So they were they going there to rescue him, or they were just there to train?
They're just there to train.
Okay, nice and simple then.
Because if you're strong enough to survive the dungeons of fear and hunger, you're strong enough to survive damn near anything.
Yeah. Did they have any other, like, were they trying to ascend or anything like that, or were they literally just there to hone their skills?
Yeah, the yellow mages, they're just there to be greedy bastards and hone their skills so they can inflict their will upon others.
Cool. That sound like cool guys, yellow mages.
They're Nietzschean will to power guys. They can be fun to work with, they can be assholes to work with. It depends on what their power that they're willing towards is.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a good one. Is Sylvian behind the green hue, or was that the moon god?
The green hue has always been there. It's just part of it.
So what is the green hue?
It's a thing inside the void that essentially radiates mutating properties similar to the black.
Okay.
It's a thing that's just a property of where the older gods came from.
It seems to be, if you're familiar with Lovecraft, and the story The Color Out of Space, it seems similar to that. And in fact, we just watched that in my Discord yesterday.
It's not dissimilar to that. It's just sort of a thing that's there.
Yeah. So it's in Termina, it's like everybody says that, oh, the green hue comes from Rare, because that's what they think, right? Because they're staring in the face of the moon god and there's green hue everywhere, so it's natural to think that. But it's just because he's an old god and the green hue comes with the old gods for the most part.
Yep. If you want to think of it one way, it's basically radiation that doesn't kill you. And you bask in it long enough and you start turning green too from it.
Okay. What about the brain flowers we find in some enemies we fight in number 1? What are they?
Oh, those are just Basically, those are regular flowers. It's just that they've been mutated by the black.
Oh, okay.
Even the plants get a bit fucked up there.
That's weird. And they just like send you crazy.
Maybe.
Maybe.
They're more likely than anything forcing you to act to the flower's will, and you sure look like delicious nutrients to them.
That's true, yeah. Yeah. I like how many questions for the lore of Fear and Hunger, the answer is just, I don't know, or maybe.
I mean, not everything is explained. That's what makes it an intriguing mystery.
Yeah, it is.
Ooh, despite the brilliant question from earlier, Kano 114 is wrong on this one. Yigagetsu is not a weapon. It is a new god.
Oh?
Some sort of patron saint of deity, or of warriors, essentially, that must be defeated to prove yourself or something. It's basically some bullshit you tell all your veterans to give them something to do when there's no war going on.
So, I wonder, because it seems like you can summon new gods from the Great Hall even if they're dead, because you can summon the Tormented One even though he's in the hall. So I wonder if Yigagetsu is just an old god chilling in the hall and you summon them to fight them to prove your worth.
Perhaps.
That'd be interesting for a warrior cult to do.
I believe the legend goes that they're specifically searching him out on wandering the earth, so summoning him might not work.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's just a bit of cultural bullshit to keep your veterans busy so they don't, use their military skills against you because you didn't pay them good enough.
Many such cases.
God, you got no idea.
So much of history is just, of culture is just figuring out what to do with surplus people. So many institutions throughout history. Anyway, so what are the odds Sylvian Trooper is Das? I'll take this one. 0. There is 0 chance Sylvian Trooper is Das because Das is female and Sylvian Trooper is male. Is the music significant in any way for this stream or in general?
For the lore thing, similar to how the creaking throat of a god was relevant for the throat of a god.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe so. Let me review the titles real quick. Fear and Hunger, obviously. Eastern Wind, obviously. Minor Terror, Basement of Flies, Mist Jingle, Muted Aggression, The Depths. Those last two should be pretty obvious. The Four Apostles are referring to... God of the Depths is referring to God of the Depths. Ancient City refers to the Ancient City. Mahabra Streets refers to the streets of Mahabra.
Yeah, most of them are pretty straightforward, aren't they?
Is the theme of the Gauntlet.
Yeah, in Termina, a lot of the track names are stuff like Ashes of War, Echoes of Cruelty, just sort of really generic stuff, and you don't really get anything interesting from it. So I think apart from, what was it, Creaking Throat of a God or whatever it was, it's like, you're not going to get a lot from them.
Yeah. Creaking Throat of a God is essentially the only one that's something that hints at something more. All of them are just very explicit for, this is what this place is.
Hmm.
And that's the only one that's relevant in any sort of unique way.
You might know this one. There was an Allmere spell in Fear and Hunger 1 called Pray. You can only get it from an empty scroll. Was it some kind of cut spell? Should we talk about cut stuff?
Actually haven't bothered with Pray. When I get an empty scroll, it goes straight to White Angel.
What does White Angel do?
It doubles your turns.
Wait, is that like a trinket or something?
Yeah, it's an equipment that works like Fast Dance, but forever.
Oh, that's pretty good. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, combine it with On Guard, and Kahara can act 3 times before the opponent gets a turn.
Oh my god.
Gotta have a decent weapon, and he can actually kill most bosses before they get to act.
Wow, okay.
Kahara is extremely balanced.
Yeah. Jeez. Wow, okay. Yeah, no wonder they split his spells up in 2. I think you can get pretty much all of his spells, all of his abilities, but they're all like split up between different characters, so you had to put a lot of investment in to get it.
They're also dramatically nerfed.
Yeah. Yeah, On Guard is like, you only get like one automatic attack on a random limb.
Yep. Whereas the original On Guard is simply you get an extra turn, and if you have extra actions on your extra turn, well.
Yeah. Why does Miasma have a ghost in it?
Because it's Soul Edge. It's not so much a ghost in it as much as the sword is sentient and evil.
Okay. Oh yeah, so like Soul Calibur, like Soul Edge from Soul
Yes.
Calibur, right? Yeah.
The sword
It even
is
looks the same,
aware
doesn't
and
it?
yeah, it's a reference to it one-to-one.
Yeah.
The sword is aware, it has its own consciousness and will, and it wants to murder things because, I mean, who doesn't?
Well, yeah, you know, it's like a sword. Like, what else is a sword gonna care about?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Nice and simple. When the girl transforms into the god of fear and hunger, is it possible that her acknowledging the character's suffering and letting them die in peace is an act of the girl's mercy? So I guess a little bit of context to this is,
I mean,
Enki straight up says that she's untarnished by anything good, but then she performs an act of mercy at the very end. So it's like, is she purely fear and hunger, or is there something else mixed in there?
that actually ties back to a mechanic for that fight. You know how you got that doll?
Yeah.
If you give it to her, she starts caring about you guys, and, like, will take hits for some people if they're low on hit points. Same for the dagger.
Oh.
And I believe there's a third act of kindness that you can give her, and these actually affect the fight against her. The more kindly you treat her, the more merciful she is in the fight, and will take extra turns thinking back to your kindness instead of attacking her.
Wow.
Sorry, instead of attacking you. And
Okay.
it is almost definitely an act of kindness to let you die mercifully after the fight. Because she is very much capable of it, and it's tied into her core mechanics.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I guess if she was pure god of fear and hunger, she's not just going to let you die. That's not fear and hunger, is it?
Yeah, that's not suffering. No, she is very much understanding and capable of kindness.
Wow, okay. So then she's definitely not. So Enki was a little bit wrong there. So she's not pure fear and hunger then. So she does care about at least some people a little bit. Maybe
Yeah,
that extends a
Enki's
little bit
just
to
a dude.
humanity. Yeah. And he wasn't there when it happened because he couldn't have been, else he'd be dead.
Yep.
Interesting. What do we got? If Rare is gone, why is there an optional boss fight with literally him on the moon tower? I'll take this one.
Since when is Rare gone?
Well, when you talk to Pekeli, when you do that ending, he says that Rare is gone and all that's left there is traces. But
I mean, okay. Yeah, the traces still fuck around with stuff. Like, traces of Grogoroth will still murder your face, even though Grogoroth is gone.
yeah.
The difference is that traces are very minor things compared to the real ones.
Yeah. You can physically stand being next to a trace, but you probably couldn't be physically next to an older god without melting. But the thing is, we don't know if Rare truly is gone or not, because when you fight it, it doesn't say traces of Rare. It just says Rare. And Pekeli straight up says that he lied to you beforehand, and so he could be lying again. It's super unclear about what's actually happening on top of the tower.
Yeah, that sounds like Termina. Which is why Decay certainly had something to do with that festival at the start, I bet.
Yeah. So I like to think that Rare is gone, just because there's the whole thing with the Vatican trying to find older gods, and they can't. And if Rare was there, he hates humanity, but you'd think he'd say something.
Why would a trickster god permit itself to be found?
Yeah,
Except as a greater deception for one of its own schemes.
Exactly. So it's everybody's lying. Rare lies. Pekeli lies. So and nobody needs you to know the truth. There's no reason for them to tell you the truth. So it's like, who knows? You don't even kill the traces anyway. It just gets bored and leaves. So.
I mean, that's true of all of the traces, except Grogoroth's traces.
Oh,
He
okay.
just gets bored and kills you instantly.
Really? At the end of the
then
fight?
Leaves. Yes.
Oh, that's funny as. Okay. So why are the dwellers of the mines mutated humans? Or are they a whole new species? The cave
Let's
dwellers.
not get into the species problem, because there's so many things that are currently classified as separate species that are perfectly comfortable interbreeding with each other and producing fertile offspring.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I suppose the
But,
question would be like,
They're
is it-
just humans that got lost down there and are a bit affected by the god of the depths.
yeah, they do seem to pray to the god of the depths. They seem to be working with it somehow.
Yep.
So maybe they're not as like, maybe it's a bit more merciful towards them than it is to other things. Who are the parents of the girl? Oh, we've talked about this a little bit. It's Legard and yeah, and Nilvan, right? What about the Penance Knights? Why does Trota have a set of armor locked in a cage?
Oh, that's a presumably easy one. Penance Knights were set out on suicide missions as a punishment for something that they did. And we can presume from that whatever Penance Knight was sent to the dungeon died, and then Roger kept his or her armor because he's a creepy little pervert.
He is. I found out recently you could sell out the Crown Prince to him. I didn't know you could do that. So of course I did it immediately.
I did it almost every playthrough. It's so good.
It's funny as.
Then he can sell out like the chick that he brought with him as well.
Really? You can sell out can you sell out other members of this party too?
Yes, you can get every single member of his party killed, and I generally try to because it's better than the alternative.
Wow, that's funny as.
If you rescue all of them, you get a ring of wraiths.
Which you'll probably have by that point anyway.
If you sell all of them out, you get like light blue vials, a plate armor, the Penance Knight armor option. You get a key. You get safe places to rest within the dungeon.
Wow.
You get a claymore.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's just you get the best equipment in the fucking game. The best non-unique equipment in the game. For selling all of them out, plus a bunch of healing items.
Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna keep selling them out then. According to the wiki, Sylvian Trooper is female. This is gonna be one of those topics that's like, yeah, bye. But Sylvian Trooper clearly has a penis, and Das did not. So we're gonna leave aside distinctions of male and female, and just say Das is obviously not Sylvian Trooper. Okay, when you visit Nilvan in the tower, you can see her pregnant with a little girl in the past. If Legard is the father and arrived in the present to the dungeon, how did the pregnancy work?
We already edged that one, actually. It's because he knocked her up in his dreams. If you need an explanation for that, well, ask your parents and also make sure your parents are very well versed in the occult.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's time travel. We explicitly use time travel mechanics to get around, and we see that dreams can bend time kind of anyway. So it's like, yeah, they just used new god powers and just did whatever they wanted.
More or less, yeah. That's the easiest way to put it.
Let me see. What's next? Are all endings canon? We went into which endings are canon at the start, but in short answer, no, not all endings are canon.
We know for a fact at least 2 of the S endings are not.
Yeah. What is the point of Skin Granny? Is she a nightmare formed from the tower, or does she have a point to existing and fighting the party? I actually really wanted to know this too.
Oh, Skin Granny. How's the best way to describe this? Well, you know how dreams are, like, fucking weird?
Yeah.
Basically, she's something that comes from Old-Guard. Okay, so let me put it this way. She's from Old-Guardian myth. And she attacks people who abandon their families. But she lives on in the subconscious of the northern folk, but doesn't actually have a physical body and does not physically exist. She's a nightmare made manifest through the Tower of Endless.
Okay. That would make sense.
Ragnvaldr's nightmare from what you saw in there.
Oh, because he left to go do something and his family got killed in the meantime, so he thinks he abandoned his family. Okay.
And the Skin Granny is there to punish people who do that, and is only from Old-Guardian myth, and when you encounter her...
Right.
It's during the sequence of the dream where you're encountering his regret over what happened to his family.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Yes. Interesting. Yeah. It. So there's weird subconscious creatures that live in dream reality, I guess, that Nilvan interacts with. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see anything else like that, or is it just Skin Granny?
Just good, Granny.
I wonder why that wasn't explored more in Termina, considering the whole thing is about dreams.
I mean, you do get attacked in your dream by the janitor. What is the difference between a dream and the rare realm?
Oh god, yeah, there we go. Is the
That's
rare
you're
realm
gonna-
and the
that's
dream
gonna be
world?
s- Yeah, that's something you're gonna have to finagle around for a while because that's
Yeah, oh, no.
especially not clear.
Oh no.
As soon as you're getting into realms that are influenced by beliefs, it comes really hard to nail things down.
Yeah, it sure does. Oh god. I think that's another hour-long lore video in the waiting, I think.
Yep. Great questions from the Whispers.
Okay. So in Fear and Hunger 2, a few characters have souls from Fear and Hunger 1 characters. Does it confirm reincarnation is a thing in the lore?
No.
No?
No, you can actually find multiple copies of each of those types of souls in Fear and Hunger 1. Kahara can obtain another endless soul while being alive.
Oh.
It's just a type of soul similar to, like, a zodiac sign.
Okay.
Two
So-
people being Pisces doesn't mean that they're reincarnations.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to think about it, isn't it? They're basically star signs.
Yep, they are star signs, they affect your loyalty with the new gods, but they're not unique, one-of-a-kind soul things.
Yeah, I think that may have been one of Legard's issues, is that he thought, oh, well, these guys were like, endless, dominating, all those four types of souls. So it's like, if I embody all of that, that means I'll have to be better than them. But then it's like, well, actually, no, there's like an almost infinite number of soul types. So
Yeah.
you fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we straight up see in Termina that there's what, 14 at least,
At minimum 14, yes.
Well, actually, I think there's one.
Counting the one from the little girl, bring it up to a minimum of 15. Because the little girl has a soul type that's not used on the Hexen table in Termina.
Yeah, and in fact, I believe there is one that shows up in 1 that isn't in 2. So I think there's even 16. I'm trying to
I
think.
believe the only type is the little girl's one, which is what I was thinking of.
Okay. But yeah, so there's at least 15. So it's like, yeah, I think it's just a case of there's as many as we need for the game. So okay. Who are the Buckman party looking for?
Ooh, once I actually did complete the Buckman side quest.
Oh, you
and,
did?
Got them all back together and got the Ring of Wraiths and learned all about that. And let me tell you, it is not worth the time or effort, but they were looking for Captain Rudemer.
So they don't know he's been transformed.
They did not know he transformed into the Crow Mauler and get too mauled by all sorts of other things before they even meet him.
Yeah, they get demolished if you don't help, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
they get fucking wrecked.
In fact, I believe Sir Gregor, the guy with the claymore, who is essentially the tutorial knight, is Rudemer's brother, even.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we see a few early on, don't we? And he killed a scarab, which is the most bizarre thing. There's a dead scarab in the top of the dungeon.
It presumably chased him out of there.
Oh,
From Mahavra.
So the whole party went all the way down to Mahav, and then he got chased all the way back.
Yep.
Running from a scarab of all things. That's funny.
I mean, it could have been more than just one scarab, but seriously, those things are fucking the worst if you don't know how to handle them properly.
Oh, really? Actually, the
Yes.
only time I fought them was with a full party, so I usually kill them turn 1. So what do they do?
Turn 3, they dissolve your equipment.
Oh, God.
Which means if you have, blue sin equipped, it's gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually terrifying. Okay.
Fuck those things. Yeah, no. Yeah, you think bad status effects are bad for failing a coin flip? How about losing your shit?
Yeah, Jesus. That's awful. I'm never going to fight them again with a single person then. Which of Legard's endings is canon? The one where he dies after becoming Yellow King, or the one where he remains alive and goes around waging war, ruling over kingdoms?
The one where he goes around waging war and ruling over kingdoms. You see him doing it at the intro sequence of Termina.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that Yellow King is still kicking. Unless there's something where you resurrect immediately becoming a new god, but I don't think there is, so I think he just stayed alive.
Ooh, good connection from Kanoe114. No contestant has the domination soul.
That must be the one I was thinking of, yeah. Is Vinland just destroyed by the old gods? Why is it so cursed?
I mean, good question. You want to go over there and find out? Because I don't.
Yeah, I think we've only seen known people gone over there twice. One was Ragnvalder, and then the other one was like a book in Termina. And they're both times that it's like they rock up, see how terrifying it is, and just run away. So
Yep.
if Ragnvalder's people got so scared they immediately ran away, then I don't think anybody else can really survive there very long. Also sounds fucked up. Why do all the people that are born with a tormented soul become cannibals? Or do they just have the chance to become a cannibal?
I mean, everyone can become a cannibal if you, believe in yourself and try your hardest. It's not limited just to those with a tormented soul. But, make it a regular part of your diet seems to be a tormented soul thing.
Yeah, and I mean, we see explicitly in the intro sequences that the parts of your soul that are unlocked changes depending on your actions. So it's not guaranteed that you'll be a cannibal, Like Levi is good with guns, but it's not guaranteed that he'll be good with shotguns or good with rifles or that sort of stuff. So it's like there is definitely a lot of sway in there. You're not guaranteed to live a certain way. You're just good at certain things. It's just the things you're naturally good at, basically. Any ideas as to how Moonless got miasma and black steel stuck in her? I think we can come up with a couple.
Yeah, presumably someone holding one of those weapons stabbed her with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's more complicated than that. The real question is, why did August's family not pull them out in the intervening years? Because they're friends with Moonless.
An asshole? Have you met him? Fuck that guy. I show up there, kick Moonless's ass, finish the fight on full HP because I've got shitloads of healing from the spells. And what does he show up and give me? Condensed blue orbs. Oh, gee, thanks, asshole. That's gonna help with my entire party being infected from your shit dog's bites.
Yeah. The first time I fought Moonless, I had someone die, I had Olivia die, and he rocks up and says, "Oh, that looks bad. Here's some herbs. See ya." It's like, oh my god.
And you can't even murder him there, and I would have done it out of spite.
It would be perfect if you could fight him there and then Moonless rejoins the fight. I think that would be a perfect way to do that.
Ooh, that would be a perfect way to do that. Be cool if that was a way to get miasma as well. I love that sword.
Oh, that'd be sick. But you can't actually get it in Termina, can you? I think it just breaks. You can get black steel though.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten black steel. I gave it to the wheelchair girl.
In my latest playthrough, I had black steel, and then I got mind controlled, and then I crit a party member for 150 damage, and then instantly killed them with black steel. So, good times. Okay, maybe Greater Blight is not an actual god or not to worship. It would be sort of an echo of dinosaur extinction.
But dinosaurs aren't real.
Yeah.
I mean, there were dragons, but there's no such thing as dinosaurs. Those are just made up.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're talking about fear and hunger lore, so maybe the dinosaurs were real.
We're not talking about real life.
Yeah.
Well, there's no evidence of dinosaurs in fear and hunger. And I mean, there's no evidence for them in real life either. It's all manufactured, but don't let nobody tell you that.
Yeah.
Didn't hear that one from me.
That's where Bones is wrong. Oh, apparently you're wrong. The guy with black plate armor is the brother. Seymour is just Buckman's guard.
Okay, I mean, I did that once. I didn't particularly care. I knew that one of them was the brother of another one, but in the end, they're all just things to murder and take their shit, so I didn't consider them very important.
Okay, here we go. I don't think the whole night party could enter Mahav. They would need the cube. And also, if you save the other guy being chased by Trota and talk to them, you find them consumed in the flowers. Well, the girl is in Mahav when you enter there.
The girl is always in Mahav, no matter what you're doing.
So maybe you don't really need the cube to enter Mahav, but you just need it to do other stuff in there.
And the flower thing only happens if you save Buckman and Gregor and set a specific couple of plot flags so that they wind up forming a marriage in the circle on the 7th floor.
Oh god, they form a marriage?
Yes, which then gets eaten by the flowers.
That's terrifying. Gonna repeat this one last time. Blacksteel may be Eastern Sword, and Sylvian Troopers tried to stop Moonless with it. This is what?
I mean, it could have been a Sylvian trooper who had the sword. There's nothing to suggest that.
Yeah, we're gonna need some connections here. Okay, so in Fear and Hunger hard mode, so it's at Terror and Starvation, I suppose. Sylvian, which is probably just a trace, protects Legard by assaulting the player on the bridge. Why does it do that?
Well, unfortunately, your memory is a bit off. Sylvian does not protect Legard. She simply attacks anyone who happens to be walking by, regardless of whether or not Legard is there. If you show up there and get ending D on hard mode, which requires Legard not being in the party, she'll still attack you. If you do ending S as Enki, which, again, Legard is dead in those endings, she'll still attack you. She just, if you wander in the wrong place there, you run into her and she attacks you.
Okay. So she's just sort of angry.
More like she's loving and really wants to love you in some bad way.
Oh. Right. Her loving is not exactly what we'd consider loving, right?
yeah, she's there to bad touch you.
So are there any other questions? What was the place that Outlander went to in his backstory? That was Vinland. Who is August? August is probably Ragnvalder's descendant.
I'll tell you who August is. He's a fucking asshole. Fuck that guy.
He is.
He's a piece of shit.
I like how he saves you from being crucified, then just leaves you on the ground with no legs, and it's like, GG, have fun.
Because he's a fucking asshole. He's just like, well, have fun, buddy.
Yeah.
Here's a quick chance for you to feel indebted to me. And then, like, if you follow him up on stage 1, he'll jump over the fence, and rather than unlocking it from the other side or doing anything to help you, just waves and walks away.
He does.
The smug piece of shit.
That's great. Oh, here's a good one. What's up with the black witch you can encounter?
Oh, that's just a Grogoroth servant that lost his mind.
Oh, is that simple? Is this a Grogoroth witch?
Yep.
No. I expect there to be more than that because they're all like cool and mysterious.
No, that's it. It's just some crazy old dude went crazy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions answered by that too. Who's this guy? Just some dude that went crazy. Oh, okay. Who's that guy?
I mean, that's the backstory of Iron Shakespeare too.
Yeah. So is he just a big armored guy that goes crazy?
Yeah. And then like got eaten or absorbed into his armor or something because it's hollow when you pound on it.
Really? I've never actually fought Iron Shakespeare. It's always scared me too much.
He's not really that dangerous. Once you have a full party with decent weapons, you can just attack his torso round 1 and he dies.
Really? I guess, yeah, that's the thing. It's like all the early game enemies always seem terrifying until you know how to deal with them. And then it's like, oh, yeah. It's not hard.
Yeah, his arms have like as more HP than his torso, or about as much, so just kill the torso. Or even just leg and head if you really want to.
All right, let's see.
Not that it's really worth it. It's like, what, a 1.1 multiplier to defense if you absorb his soul?
Really? That's nothing.
Yeah, like, and compare that to the Salmon Snake, which I believe does that and also prevents status effects and limb loss.
Yeah, Salmon Snake is insane. In Termina too, it's ridiculously good.
Yep.
Shocked it wasn't nerfed, to be honest.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to comment on it. I didn't find a single one in my whole playthrough.
Really? Whoops. I guess it is RNG now. there's been times where I walk into the village and first barrel I look in, salmon snake. And then times it's like, nah, you don't get salmon snake.
I did get like 3 Zamadas once, though.
Zamadas?
Yeah, Zamadas.
What's a Zamada?
Not much. What's the matter with you?
Oh, God. Oh, I've got to stop falling for this. Oh. The reason I fell for that is because there are legitimately items that I've never had drop in Termina. I've never had a Chak drop. You can find that guaranteed, so I've gotten one, but I've never had one drop randomly. And I've never had a lighter drop randomly. I didn't even know a lighter was in the game until someone told me.
What the fuck is a lighter?
It's like infinite matches.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, so it's not a huge deal in Termina because you don't like need a torch or anything, but it's nice. Yeah. Okay. What was behind the whole clone machine in Mahab? Nosramus or perhaps Nashra or even Valtil?
Ooh, that's actually very explicitly Nasra. The entire clone machine and all of his research into that, which eventually inspired Valtil's attempts at creating life, were attempts by Nasra to create a body for himself after everything went to shit and he lost his body.
Huh.
And if you have him in your party, there's even a side quest to activate it and make a full body for him.
Oh wow, really?
Yes, and then he's like, wait, this isn't strong enough to hold my power.
I guess
Then he burns into a crisp because it's a waste.
I guess, when a new god, they're pretty strong, aren't they? They need some serious magic to hold them together.
There's certainly no Kahara.
Yeah. Yeah. Is the Dungeon of Fear and Hunger the only way to the city? Are there multiple ways of reaching Mahab?
Yes.
Yes?
The passages of Mahabra, an item that exists both in 1 and in 2, though in 2 you cannot find it anywhere, teleports you there, and you can explore the city streets for a bit.
Yes, that's true. Yes, that you can find the house of a guy in Termina that gets obsessed with Mahab after he reads the passages. Well, he dreamed about Mahab first, then got a copy of the passages, and then went fully crazy obsessing about it.
Oh yeah, you can also visit Mahab in your dreams as well. Because it's one of those semi-real things.
Jellyfish marriages or experiments?
Oh. It's never really explained. The answer is neither of them. They're just, things that hang out in the green hue.
I don't think I've encountered them in my playthrough yet.
Oh, you've totally encountered them. They're, fuck, what are they called? They're the things with the tentacles that float around slowly.
Oh, yeah. Those annoying fucking things you can't run from.
You can, it's just hard.
Maniba, I think they're called.
Manibas, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, those things
hate
just
those
hang
things.
out. They're just around.
That is...
They're from the green hue. They sometimes wander in there.
Huh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's nothing more to them. They're just guys from the void that sometimes wander into the real world to eat.
What's behind that door in this little side room to the start with all the Manibas around it?
Miasma.
Oh, okay.
Also a shit ton of bodies.
Okay, so there's a dude in Mahab that is waiting for some sort of king. What's up with that?
Oh, he is presumably waiting for Almer to return to the city. Who never does. He just doesn't.
Yeah, well, this is one of those things that's not answered in 1, but I believe it is answered in 2. In Father Hugo's house, the guy that went crazy about Mahab, he has a whole bunch of papers scattered around, and on some of them he says the sun, the king. And they're waiting the return of the king, they're waiting for a new dawn, they're waiting for the sun god to come back. And this is where This is where the theory that Ulmir absorbed the soul of the sun god sort of is fueled by. And so the idea is that Ulmir killed the sun, or had the sun god's soul somehow, used it to ascend, and they're sort of waiting for the king to come back, the sun god to come back, but he's not coming back because he's dead.
Yeah.
Which might be why the old gods left, because humans killed their god, and that's why they're like, well, humans kind of suck, so we're going. So this is all really, really conjectural and like only little bits and pieces. Nothing is like explicitly confirmed, so we'll have to dig a bit more, I think. But that's what I think. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. That's what I've seen other people think as well. So
it's very much tied to Ulmir. That much is certain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can visit Mahab and Termina. No, you can't visit it, but characters that appear in Termina have.
The passages of Mahab, the thing that transports you there, exists within the code, but doesn't function properly. It puts you in a bunker out of bounds, which is the same map and position ID as the place you went to in 1. You just haven't updated the code anywhere.
Yeah. You can find lots of leftover code from 1 in 2, because it's clear that he built on top of Fear and Hunger 1 to make 2, so there's it's that's why it's a bit tricky.
The thing about this book, it's not built on the original 1. He
Really?
drew unique sprites for it and changed the description.
Oh, that's
it's
interesting.
Clearly intended to be used at some point, but is currently unfinished.
Huh. That's really interesting. Have to check that out. Yeah, it's always a bit tough to sort of dig through the code and say, yep, so this is canon, because it's like, well, there's actually a whole bunch of stuff that he didn't want and didn't put in and just left half finished. So it's like, who knows? Can I form a marriage with a guard to gain his massive stinger?
No.
No?
No.
No?
It would require consent to form a marriage.
Right. The guards...
And it would need to be inside a ritual circle, and I think there would be no faster way than to lose a guard's interest than consent.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines in the game is just such a subtle thing, right? When you fight the elite guards, it says, he looks upon you with contempt, with disgust. He looks at you with disgust. And it's like, it's the grossest dude, the most twisted guy, and he thinks you're disgusting. You, a normal human, is disgusting. And I just love that little touch. I think it's one of the best lines in the game, just because it's so subtle.
What a really nice, subtle things about that.
Yeah, there's so many little things like that I just love about it. So are the Lord of the Flies grown-up embryos, or where do they come from?
A wizard did it, and that wizard was named Valtiel. In the Lord of the Flies case, it was just an accident. They don't have souls, they're not a grown-up anything. They're just there.
They're weird-looking fellas. They kind of look hollow, don't they?
Yeah, they fucked up at one point, and... Oh, sorry. Valtiel fucked up at one point, and now they're just around.
Classic Valtiel. The streets of Mahab are littered with his failures, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. And I believe when I dug through the unused stuff of that, there was a rather interesting bit of data that implied that when you broke down a door in a fight, there would be a Lord of the Flies standing on the other side of it.
That'd be great. We already answered Black Witch Viper. Is there any more questions? Do the Whispers of the Dungeon have any more questions to ask? The new gods?
Have the notes in your notebook updated any?
Let me see. No, they haven't. I think we might be approaching the end then.
I see. Well then.
I'm new to the lore. Are simple questions allowed? Absolutely. As long as you don't ask, what's the lore of Fear and Hunger? Because I have a whole video for that.
Loads of it.
Is there anything you guys would like in a sequel? Oh wait, okay, here we go. What happens with the human Hydra?
I mean, presumably it starves to death at some point.
Yeah. Or are you asking how it came about, or what happens to it after we go through the
Or
dungeon?
perhaps one of the players kills it. It's determinate.
Mm. I suspect that the players don't kill it because Legard definitely takes notice of it and uses something similar later. So I wonder if they just left it.
Doesn't necessarily mean that he had to take notice of it while it was alive.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And you don't necessarily gain useful information from discussing with it.
No, you don't. and I guess it's not that crazy to take one look at it and say, "Oh, I know exactly what happened here." Yeah. So, would you like to so what happened? What happened? How did it happen? The Hydra.
I mean, in an attempt to save themselves, a bunch of dudes in the dungeon threw an orgy attempting to create a super marriage, and it didn't work out very well because more than one partner in a marriage is considered abominable by Sylvian.
So when you've got like 10 or 20 people in a marriage, you get a Hydra. Maybe this is a silly thing, but what was the weird purple throbbing thing?
That was one of the 3 hearts of the god of the depths.
So yeah, if you go further down into the dungeon, near where the cave dwellers are, you'll find, well, I guess one of the mouths of the god of the depths. There's probably more. And the purple throbbing things are its organs. Oh shit! Sorry, bumped my mic. The big tree in Fear and Hunger 1 got something to do with Venushka? No.
Eh?
No.
It's got plenty to do with the god of the depths, but not Venushka.
In Fear and Hunger 1, Nashra summons a demon. Do we find out more about that demon?
Nope.
So it's just, this is a cool thing that Nashra does once and then just never does again.
Yep.
That fight sold me. I was already pretty sold on Fear and Hunger, but that fight was probably the coolest thing I saw in the game. Was that demon getting closer and closer to you as it was that cool song played, wasn't it? Like Tension or something? What was the song called?
I believe it's Pulse and Anxiety.
Pulse and Anxiety, that's it, yeah. The demon getting closer and closer as Pulse and Anxiety played is probably my favorite moment in the game.
It's a nice thing. But I never really experienced it because the first time I encountered him, I just bolted. Just like, oh, that's a demon in the distance. Bye.
Yeah, I think that's the correct response, but I decided to fight it. And
that's the power of being good at video games.
It went well. It went as bad as well as you expect fighting it. Yeah, it doesn't fuck around. So
you know what's actually interesting about that? You can win that fight.
You can kill Nashra.
You can kill Nasra. You can deal enough damage to him that the fight ends.
Okay. Interesting.
It requires rapidly dropping every status effect on him. And because they're all percentile damage, it kills him before you die. And then the script executes as if you ran from the battle.
So you're not actually supposed to win that fight at all.
You are not. You can.
Wow.
Though. Same as the fight against the ghost in the mines.
Oh, you're not supposed to win that fight either.
Correct. He has, I believe, 150,000 hit points. Something like that.
Wow, okay. Why is there a flesh pit in level 3?
Nasra is gaining as much flesh mass as possible as part of a resurrection spell. A single human body would not be able to contain all of his might, so he's trying to merge hundreds of them together to create something powerful enough to contain him.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of terrifying. Do we learn any more about the ritual?
Only that it didn't work.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that's the failure of it. Oh my god. Jesus.
Yes, that's one of his failed attempts at resurrecting himself with a full body.
Yeah. Do we learn why the girl is in the cage? Yeah, we'll try not to answer questions again. You'll be able to go back over the VOD because we did discuss a lot of this stuff. You can ask the new gods about Nashra's demon. So I remember they would say he's a thing from the void. Okay. Does Nashra have some kind of authority over the guards? Or is he just hiding there?
I mean, everyone has authority. If you have more capacity for violence than someone else, you have authority over them because you can tell them what to do or murder them.
That's especially true in the dungeon, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So while the guards may simply be acting on instinct and following the scariest dude around, he does not have authority in the sense of rank to pull on them as part of the chain of authority within the Rondon army, guard corps, whatever.
Whatever they are, yeah. How did Nashra lose his body? We don't know, do we?
Actually, we do.
Oh, we do?
The Fellowship killed him.
Ah, right. Wait, hang on. If he was trying to make a new body in Mahab, wouldn't that be before the Fellowship got there? Because the Fellowship would have, like, ascended. Not instantly, but soon after that.
I mean, you'd presume the guy whose head you've cut off is dead.
That's true.
And the actual thing that he built stuff in is so hidden away that presumably he was working on it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sort of scurried away to make a new body.
Yep.
Why do the new gods allow the main characters to basically enter their domain and give them 3 questions to ask? That's actually a good question. Why do you guys do
not? It's a good way to kill boredom.
that? They do just seem incredibly bored, don't they?
I mean, you try sitting in the same fucking chair for 100,000 years and going, I could talk with this guy, or I could just keep sitting here. You get sick of having the same conversations with everyone around you over and over and over again. Sometimes you want something new to discuss.
Yeah, I do love that scene where you walk in there, there's all the old gods, some of them are just slumped over, but some of them are like just kind of barely interested in you.
Yeah.
This is more theoretical, but couldn't Nashra be able to take over the human Hydra for his body?
Probably wasn't strong enough.
He's
already got far more corpses than the human Hydra has, and that's still not strong enough.
Yeah, human Hydra seems to be pretty weak despite being a mound of flesh, so it's...
I mean, it's an abominable marriage. It's a downgrade.
Yeah. Was Nilvan more a martial or a caster type? Yeah, what do you think, like, what do you think they did in the party?
I mean, it's pretty obvious with Francois and Valtiel. Tormented One could go either way. He's a poet, which means he's a nerd. And more than that, a pretentious nerd, so he probably knew at least a little bit of magic.
He also could have been like a bit of a tank too, considering he loves pain.
I mean, perhaps.
A bard tank?
I mean, it works.
Yeah.
Nilvan, on the other hand, I would assume she was a comfort woman?
Maybe. She could have been like the rogue as well, considering what we know about Kahara and the Endless Soul.
I mean, she could have.
Yeah.
But that's what I would presume.
Yeah. Then what was Nosramus's role in the party then? If we already have an enlightened soul.
Who knew what the fuck was going on and also having shitloads of amazing magic.
Yeah. So they had a couple of castings going there.
You've never looted her spells, have you?
No, I haven't.
All right, she has a spell called, what was it? Combustion? It hits a single target for about 400 to 500. Sets them on fire. Has no downside, despite what the flavor text may imply. Guess what its cost is in terms of mind?
Sounds pretty good. So maybe like 40?
0.
What? What?
It is a spell that is on par with the Black Steel of the East.
Wow. And you can just freecast it constantly.
Yes.
That's nuts.
It doesn't require arms to use, and you get it in a scroll to teach it to anyone.
That's nuts.
Yep, it's right up there with Blue Sin in terms of functionality.
Yeah, Jesus. Okay.
And that's probably why they brought Nosramus along, because holy shit, girl.
Yeah, some sort of crazy pyromancer. Oh, jeez. Do you think it's possible two marriages can marry willingly?
Yes.
Because we kind of see that, don't we?
Yes, afterwards they won't be able to continue marrying because it's an abominable marriage and they are non-functional down there, shall we say.
Yeah, because it goes like two people on a Sylvian circle equals a marriage, and then a marriage plus another person equals an abominable marriage, right?
Yep. There's no reason that second person couldn't be another marriage, at which point you would form an abominable marriage.
Yeah, and then after that you just can't. Consent is just sort of out of the question, is it? Because you can't even do it, so.
Yep. If you get a bunch of people all at once, you can still form an abominable marriage with more than 4 people, but if you're just doing one-on-one couplings, that is the limit.
Okay. Are there more old gods out there that exist that we don't know about? Oh, yeah.
Probably.
100%. 100%, yeah. There's ones we explicitly know exist but don't know anything about them, because there's one we've seen their symbol and we don't know who it is. We have suspicions, but we don't know for sure. And the developer, Miro, has explicitly said that he designed old gods so that he can add more as needed. There's room for them to grow. So yeah, you know, when the next game comes around, we'll probably find out more old gods.
Additionally, since they are personifications of specific concepts, there's a lot of concepts out there.
Yeah. And especially when the concepts get really bizarre, like there's an old god called Vitruvia, and they seem to be the old god of intelligent design. And it's like, that overlaps with so much of what the other old gods do, it's not even funny.
Right? What I want to see is a fucking old god of demarcation.
Of demarcation? What do you mean?
That which divides something from something else, similar to Hekatia from Greek myth.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
She is responsible for things like the transition between life and death, both in the form of guiding people into the afterlife and in the form of guiding people into being born.
Yeah, that is an important concept, especially when you've got stuff like Sylvian and Grogoroth, which are like, I just want big bloody masses. I just want everything to be mine. So having a god that says, no, there's limits would be very interesting.
Yeah, something that draws clean circles around other concepts would be fascinating because it would inherently define the space in which old gods can exist.
Yeah. Very powerful when you think about it.
Of course it's powerful. I've played Toho.
Of course this is where your cool ideas come from.
I was waiting for you to call me out on just talking about Yukari Yakubo.
I have never played Toho. All I know is there's that one ice witch, and that's like the shrine maiden, and that's it. That's all I know about it.
She's not even an ice witch. She's an ice fairy.
Oh, there you go. See, like I don't even know what she is.
Shameful. You actually probably appreciate it. There's a lot of really interesting philosophical concepts rooted in the game.
Yeah, I just don't like bullet hells, so.
Just be a secondary. Everyone else seems to be nowadays.
Just read all the dojins, hey?
Hey, good enough.
Definitely an old...
I miss the days of Toho dojins, because like most of them weren't pornographic. A lot of them sold particularly well and were just cool little stories that people made. And I did that.
Yeah, I think that's sort of like one of the big things missing from the Western dojin scene. It's like, oh, actually, no, there's like maybe even more non-porn dojins out there than porn. And it just doesn't get translated because people aren't interested.
Well, I wouldn't be aware of those, obviously. I don't speak Japanese well enough to be able to translate those myself, but I suppose it could be.
Yeah, so were there any more questions, guys? Any more last...
There is one by Voidbringer. What is the point of a marriage?
Okay. Yeah, what is the point of marriage?
The point of the marriage is to be the lesser of two evils. Let us say that you've rescued Darchi from the mines with Kahara, but due to a bad encounter with the old knight or whatever, you're now down to one limb between the two of you. If you drag your bloody corpse, well, not necessarily corpse, but bloody soon-to-be corpse, and her bloody near corpse, to a circle, you can form a marriage and continue on in the game rather than reloading a save.
Hmm. Because yeah, the marriage fully reheals. It's effectively a full reheal, isn't it?
It restores all your stats, give you complete access to all sorts of armor and equipment, and merges their skills.
Okay, so you get both of their souls basically.
It's actually also particularly good for Enki if you're not going for his S ending, because it's a way to have Enki, like, get Enki a marriage with a ghoul, now he has actually good stats, and can equip any armor.
So if you do a marriage, you're locked out of S endings?
Yes, because you're no longer playing as that character, you're now playing as a marriage.
Oh, okay. Does a marriage have unique endings or no?
They do not.
That'd be interesting.
If I ever get more deep into modding Fear and Hunger, I might make unique endings for stuff. I did play a mod that allowed you to play as the girl, which was a fun solo challenge, let me tell you.
That'd be interesting.
Also
Playing as
made
the
one
girl.
that allowed the entire party to be skeletons.
The ultimate Bones playthrough.
Yep, made Grogoroth eat shit. Showed him who the true god of terror is. The true master of spooky.
Get spooked. So would Santa Claus be a new god or an old god? And how old would he be?
I mean, neither. He'd be something similar to Skin Granny.
Oh, you're right. He would be, wouldn't he? Yeah.
It'd be something from mythology that can take form in dreams. He can't be a new god because he hasn't sat on the throne of Ascension. He can't be an old god because he isn't a personification of a concept.
Well, he is a personification of the concept of, like, karma, being rewarded for doing good.
Well, partially that, but if you go into his earlier legends, he's also... The original Saint Nicholas was one of anonymous giving.
Okay.
Which is not a specific concept that ties in with the Santa Claus, which means that there's too much conceptual mishmash for him to be a pure concept like an old god.
Yeah. Yeah, seems to be. Maybe he did sit on the throne though. I could see that happening.
I mean, I ain't seen proof for it.
That'd be funny. What soul would he have then? If he was a new god, what soul would he have?
Charity, presumably.
Oh, the soul
Or
of charity.
giving.
Yeah, that's true. Or wait, well, he does dominate the elves, so he could have the soul of domination and just hides it really well.
The elves are volunteers.
Well,
That's important for his tax write-offs.
yep, that's what he claims, right? But you know, has anyone asked him? Has anyone even spoken to an elf in generations? Has anybody seen their quality of their workshop?
Why would you voluntarily subject yourself to that? Who gives a shit about elves?
Are there any common methods of limb restoration in the Fear and Hunger universe? Suppose I could answer this one.
I mean, it's
Sylvian.
just fucking around with Sylvian mostly.
Yeah, exactly. It seems to be Sylvian based is healing magic. So in Termina, if you just draw a sigil, then you get fully restored. But assuming that's not particularly like canon in the lore and more just a gameplay thing, but it does seem that Sylvian is heavily linked to restoring limbs and stuff. So
It's also not necessarily common because it requires an unblemished circle of the old gods.
it does seem that it can just be carved in the ground if you know what you're doing, because Marina carved an ascended circle pretty easily.
Yeah, but pretty easily after a lifetime of training is very different.
That is true. That is true. And that
So
training
there's
is getting rarer and rarer.
There was one question that I particularly liked from Ed, believe it or not.
Yeah.
If you both had to fight a named boss, what equipment would you bring with you? From the game, presumably.
Oh, okay. Do we choose? Which boss? Yeah, we choose a boss, and we can choose equipment too. So.
The same equipment would be the same, presumably.
Oh, okay. Well,
There's a single set of equipment that's going to solve almost everything.
I was just about to say that you can get pretty cracked with any equipment from these games. It's probably worse in Fear and Hunger 1 than it is in 2.
Oh, you have no idea.
Are we talking skills as well? Because if we're talking skills,
the question was just equipment. You can
okay.
presume you have whatever skills you currently have, such as me having essentially barehanded proficiency.
Okay. Well, as a demon, I'm kind of immortal, so I'll just assume I'm human for this. I'll just assume I'm base level human. So no particular fancy skills. Let's go equipment, I guess. I'll go 2. I'll go meat grinder. Meat grinder, full Bremen. Nice and simple. Pinecone pig, because Pinecone pig is my friend. Hardened heart, and what is it? Ring of Wraiths. No, Leech Ring. And then you're basically unkillable. You don't even need the extra equipment slot, so I can just take Pinecone pig. And which boss do you reckon? Which would be the most fun to fight, I think.
No, not Platoon. I don't know, pick whichever one you want.
Because if it's a question of like, well, if I want to guarantee my safety, I'll just pick an easy one like Woodsman or something. But if it's the most fun, ooh, that's a good question. What would be the most fun boss? I think the most fun boss to fight would probably be what's his name? Centaur. Lots of running around and dodging while it tries to kick you. I think that'd be really fun to physically fight. And I basically do that every day here with our ram. It keeps trying to ram me, and I basically dodge it like I would dodge Centaur. So I have a little bit of experience there. Yeah, I think that's what I'd go. I think that'd be my pick.
As for me, I'd go for the biggest weapon I can possibly get. Two-handed ideally, but if the biggest weapon is something like Blue Sin due to its magic, I'll stick with Blue Sin. And obviously if I get Blue Sin, the biggest, chunkiest shield I can get. The Gauntlet, if anything. I've got no problems wearing heavy equipment and moving around quickly. And going by Fear and Hunger 1 rules, because that's the one that I play mostly.
Yeah.
I would go in with the Salmon Snake Soul if I wasn't certain what I was going to fight. But if I did know what I was going to fight, there's a chance I'd switch to White Angel instead.
That's smart, yeah. So what would you prefer to fight?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Which boss from Fear and Hunger 1 do you think would be the most fun to physically fight?
Probably Crowmauler.
Crowmauler, yeah.
For one thing, I don't have eyes to peck out, so that problem is immediately solved. For another thing, it'd be fun to wrestle with a man who has similar capabilities to what I had. That is to say, overwhelming strength and stature.
A true clash of steel. Yeah, yeah.
Although, if I might be tempted to go in there barehanded for the fun of it.
Barehanded against Crowmauler, Jesus. Yeah. I was actually thinking about Crowmauler. It would be really awkward for him to swing around his mauler.
Correct. Because of the lack of wrist and elbow, he would have to power all of that primarily from the hips and shoulder.
Yeah.
Which means that you can keep a close eye on what he is going to do by observing his footwork carefully.
Yeah, I wonder if you could just like spin around like a helicopter, would you be able to do anything then?
If you were to spin around?
If Crowmauler, if he got you in like a small room and he just tried to blend you with his mauler, would you be able to do anything?
Oh yeah, definitely. I just time my dash in so that I could brace the mauler arm, at the shoulder.
Yeah.
At which point all of the force of it would essentially be going into his humerus, which could easily break it. Might not, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. And because there's no flexibility past the shoulder, it would get stuck without being able to do much to me. And I mean, at that point, I could go for a belt toss.
Yeah. Yeah, once you're in there, I think you've just got to like worry about his other hand, but he doesn't seem like his other hand is just a regular arm, isn't it? So
Yeah, it's a regular arm that casts flock of crows, which I'm not particularly worried about.
Hmm. That's true. Yeah. 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 So not that tough. Like, I think he's one of the bosses that's much more tough in game than he would be IRL. Some bosses are just like, you look at them and it's just like, that's not a big deal.
I mean, pecking at your eyes with a swarm of crows is a big deal. It's just not one that I in particular have to worry about.
Yeah. Okay. You pick Nash Ra because I grab his tangly spine and spin his face into the floor repeatedly. Well,
That
he is
would end poorly since
Yeah.
that would actually injure him.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. Because he's kind of effectively immortal. So he would just summon his demon and you would just be paced in about 5 seconds. So
Or he could just burn you to death.
yeah, or he could, if he was feeling spicy like he usually is, you would suffer a lot. Isn't Pinecone Pig from 1 connected with Venushka? I believe it says...
was added in later on.
Oh, okay.
Not
there you
in 1. There was no connection in 1 because Venushka functionally didn't exist in 1.
go. Yeah.
Also, Ed O, you joke about that, but I've actually done an entire self-defense series for fighting off Silent Hill monsters, including Pyramid Head.
Oh, nice. Well, like using your hands or like weapons?
I mean, both. I mean, the obvious solution with guns is, stay far away and shoot them. So I don't need to go into great detail about that. But, honestly, hands are one of the best things you can wield against Pyramid Head.
Yeah. Silent Hill definitely seems like another one of those games where it's like, it's probably terrifying if you're like a broken down old man who's losing his mind and you have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Or, a teenage girl.
Yeah. But if you like have any semblance of what's going on whatsoever or any physical training, it's like these guys aren't shit.
Yeah, when you've got decades of hand-to-hand combat training, you're not particularly worried about that, especially if you have specifically anti-dog training as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess doesn't Silent Hill like change according to who's in there, or is that not actually accurate?
I mean, it does, but dogs are like always there.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that's enough about Silent Hill lore. Thank you, the new god of Silent Hill. So yeah, so that
Viper Piper does have a good question though, and the answer is sort of. They can manifest in dreams, and in the Tower of Endless, they can manifest in dreams and like physically fuck you up.
Yeah, we do see. So, I mean, the thing about mythological beings is that sometimes they're based off of things that exist, and sometimes, they are just made up whole cloth. Like the skin granny is something that's made up, right? But like the Sergals are actually, they're a tribe of beasts. I think they're from Finland. So, they're mythological beasts in quotation marks, but they're real and they can fuck you up. And that's like the old gods too. They're mythological at this point, but they were very real and we see them. So yeah, were there any more final call for questions? Final call for Fear and Hunger 1 lore questions.
Final call for all of your answers and prayers and dreams and hope.
Yeah. Oh, but I think I'll just double check the list, see if we missed anything, but I think we got everything. Double check the notes from my dead party members. Rest in peace. Why don't people try and use prosthetic limbs in the Fear and Hunger universe? Is there an explicit reason why they don't? Or is it just, well, that'll probably be more of a hindrance than...
Probably because they're really expensive to make with any quality.
Yeah.
I mean, Crowballer has a prosthetic limb.
That's true.
Particularly dexterous or good for like cracking eggs, but he does have a prosthetic limb.
That's very true, yeah.
It does what he needs it to do.
Yeah. And I suppose for all the playable characters, losing limbs is a mechanic. And healing limbs is a mechanic too, so it doesn't make sense for them to have a prosthetic limb to start off with one. And it
Also,
would be
it
a
takes
bit
time
weird.
to construct to have any meaningful impact.
Yeah, yeah. And until very recently in history, prosthetics were very basic. It would basically be worse and more awkward than actually just not having anything. Unless it's like a foot or something like that. But yeah. Did something exist before the old gods? Like something created the old gods? I don't know. What do you reckon, Bones?
I mean, it would probably be an old god by definition, but then you're running into Plato's tyranny of words.
Yeah, yeah, like, we see that, like, Venushka was born of two old gods. So we know that the old gods weren't, like, set in stone a trillion years ago and then never changed, so that they do change. But if there was, like, an old god, a god that created the old gods, we haven't seen anything about it.
Yes, there is no evidence of some sort of demiurge.
Well, funnily enough, there's lots of demiurge iconography in Termina, but it's not like what you're meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, Saklas is not the same as the old definition of demiurge.
Yeah. I wonder if there's going to be a version of the world ending in fear and hunger like Ragnarok or something. I guess we've both basically lived through multiple apocalypses, so it's not really much different for the people.
Oh, actually, I just remembered one question that never got answered.
Oh, yeah.
What would you like to see in Fear and Hunger 3?
Ah, right. Would you like to go first?
Sure. I would like to see something specifically set in modern era. Probably Japan in particular, although
God damn it,
all
Bones.
things considered, it's likely to be Finland in the modern era. With virtually no real tools to defend yourself. Combat exists, but ever getting into it is a horrific idea.
I thought this was going to be like a Persona joke or something.
What the fuck is... I've never played a Persona. Although, actually, that would kind of fuck. Like, Fear and Hunger, but, like, you have to build relationships with the other dudes, and it's just Persona.
Oh, that'd be funny.
And the more deep your relationship is, and the farther along their backstory you are, the more points you get when you sacrifice them.
Yeah, you fall in love with somebody, and, like, you give them special items, like, a marriage ring or whatever. And then you sacrifice them to Grogoroth and you get, like, max affinity instantly.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be funny as, yeah.
Especially good if it really makes you care about the characters and empathize with their struggles. I love that sort of, not even ludonarrative dissonance, but conflict between morality
Yeah.
and gameplay.
Yeah. People always say that, like, oh, yeah, I built up these relationships and then, I had the choice to betray them at the end. It didn't make sense. It's like, well, you can lie. Like, people do that all the time. Like, politicians have a long history of building up relationships with people and then lying to them at the last minute. Like, that's not weird. People do that.
Just gotta give the mechanical incentivization for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I never found it strange when you can spend the whole game pretending to be a nice guy and then choose the bad ending at the end. Because, like, well, yeah, you can do that. Like, what's physically stopping you from doing that? So yeah, people say they want a modern one, and everybody says that because Orange actually posted, I think it was on Twitter, that the original plan for Fear and Hunger 2 was modern. And there's a picture of Levi in a room with, like, a computer and stuff. But the other day on my stream, we were talking about it, and one of the cool ideas we came up with was Cold War era would be sick. So definitely
like
more advanced.
30 years after the current one?
Yeah, basically. So not too long after Termina. I guess it would be... when does Termina end? Termina's about the 40s, right? So maybe 20, 30 years?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you've got the Cold War between Bremen Empire and Eastern Union. And that way you have moon travel, because I think Abella talks about One of her endings is her going to the moon or building a rocket. To go and fuck up Rare. Get some answers for once.
Oh, fuck. I've got to change my answer for what I want to see in Fear and Hunger 3.
Yep.
Just set it in space and make it Evangelion. Give me giant Fear and Hunger mechs.
Wow, that would be kind of sick. Actually. You could do some cool stuff with that. Full god-twisted mechs. or traveling the multiverse. Multiverse of madness. Actually, that kind of sucks.
Sacrificing entire space colonies to Grogoroth.
Oh, God. Yeah, blowing up in Star... Yeah, like, you know, the colony ships, blowing them up, and like it reveals that there's a Grogoroth sigil painted on the side all the time. Oh, man, that'd be evil. Or an abominable marriage, but it's the whole spaceship. The whole thing is a marriage now. Wait, isn't this basically 40k?
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
Maybe we shouldn't go down that path.
That's fine.
Okay.
Also, favorite ending.
Oh, favorite ending from which from both games or?
I mean, favorite ending. Both games have endings. Favorite ending.
I do like the classic where you leave the dungeons and you think you do, and it's not clear whether you're actually just trapped there or you're just gone mental and you think you're trapped there. I think that's a great way just to say you're just fucked. You're done. You enter the dungeon and you're not leaving, either physically or metaphysically. You're not leaving. I think that's very Fear and Hunger ending.
And my favorite is the precise opposite of that. It's the happy ending.
Which is the happy ending?
That's the one where Kahara gets rich and, like, all the noblemen are eating out of his hand and he got out of the dungeon intact. And he's just, like, fucking all the bitches.
Yeah, that is a pretty good ending.
Because, like, Kahara is overpowered and it seems appropriate for him.
yeah.
I cannot wait till I get that footage prepared for the How to Beat Fear and Hunger 1 stuff, because, oh boy. Everyone thinks that game is hard. They are going to shit on it. You watch those videos, you'll beat Fear and Hunger 1 2 hours tops for your first time.
Wow. Well, yeah, at the heart of it, these games are basically puzzle games, aren't they? You know, they're not RPGs, they're puzzle games. The puzzles have a lot of different solutions, but at the end of the day, it's once you figure out how to beat the puzzle, then it's like, you know, once you've played the start of Termina 10 times, you don't even sweat the woodsman. And when you first play it, it's like, holy shit, this guy's going to murder me. It's like, no, it's just, you just do certain things every time and you'll always win.
Yep.
But yeah. Well, unless
that is it for questions.
Well, yeah. So unless there's any more questions, I think we might wrap up. Did you have anything you would like to announce? Anything coming up, Bones?
Yes, actually. If you are interested in seeing Fear and Hunger 1 broken into half effortlessly by someone who's done challenge runs on par with Ketsueki, swing by my stream on Saturday. I'm going to be starting up my first Terror and Starvation playthrough as Kahara. And you're going to get a chance to watch me just break the game in half within about 20 minutes.
Yeah, Bones is very, very good at breaking this game. I mean, you know, you heard him say before, he's finished the game like 100 times, right?
Oh, at least.
His link is just in the pinned comment. It's his Twitch. So make sure to go, if you have Twitch, make sure to go follow him there. Also...
In fact, if you want to see specific stunts, like me killing Crow Mauler barehanded, be sure to swing by and request them.
He's taking requests too, oh god.
Yeah, it'll be more fun that way. Give me some stupid challenge for a boss, otherwise I'll just sleep through it.
So the person who drew these PNGs for us today is called Calavera VT. He's always looking for commissions, and he does some of the best VTuber art around. He's a fantastic artist in general, but he does fantastic VTuber models. So if you he's hands down the best rigger I've seen. He's better than pros for sure. So if you have anything you need commissioned, make sure to go check Carla out, because he's a beast. He whipped these up in like, I think he worked on it for like less than a day. He whipped these up, and this one too. I'll show you the start as well. And this as well. So yeah, go check him out because he's fantastic. Do I have anything coming up? I don't really. Oh, right. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Like the stream. Can you get this, Bones? They like streams here. This is how it works. On YouTube. It's very odd. Like the stream, subscribe, because I've got some more lore videos coming up. Something's happened to his account on Twitter. Oh, no. Calavera's Twitch account got banned for like no reason, and Twitch has not been very helpful for it, so I really don't know what's happened with that, which is unfortunate, but he is a good artist, so that's got nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, Twitch just kind of does that.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Like, I know someone who accidentally did an upskirt on their VTuber model on their stream and got banned for 3 days because of it.
Really?
Meanwhile, I stream the fucking rabbit orgy.
Yeah.
In Fear and Hunger. Nothing.
Wow, yeah, it's so like random what gets struck down and what doesn't. You know, it could have been the most innocuous thing, and Twitch is like, oh, didn't like that word. Goodbye. So, and you appeal, and they just don't say what it was. So it's just dumb. But yeah, so did you have anything else to announce, or?
Well, I do want to reply to a couple of things in chat before
we
go.
Oh yeah, sure.
Nuke every boss sounds like a request to kill them in one round. Which, yeah, I could do that. It'd be kind of boring because it'd be like trivial to kill them in one round. They wouldn't get a chance to do anything, but I could.
Yeah, it's you can basically do the same with all the bosses in Termina as well. And for all the bosses that you can't do it in a single turn, you could definitely do it in 2 turns, guaranteed.
Yep. I mean,
So
you can do it to every boss in a single turn. I mean, except technically the God of Fear and Hunger, because every time you deplete her HP, she switches to another form, which takes a turn. But beyond that, yeah, you can totally do that. I've done it all the time. Hell, that's how I beat ending A the first time. I had everyone with double attack and the best equipment in the game.
Yeah.
We were fucking shitting out like 20k damage a round.
Yeah, it's nuts. Double attack is so busted in the games, but then you've got bosses that are like built around you having double attack, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Also, Canon 114? Ask him, not me.
Pocket Cat rubs his pockets in a lewd way as some other jester tick. Yeah, I don't think we should go into that. Yeah.
All said, I think it's time to boot you out of the hall.
Yeah. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you very much for coming in, and we'll see you next time.